Hello and welcome to Library Grindhouse. The only ticket you need is your library card. I'm Jesse.
I'm Leah, and if you guessed that we'd be reviewing Creepshow 1 and Creepshow 2 today, then you're right. Here we are.
We're ready to review.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, it was like you're doing your reveal
You're doing
episode
my reveal.
stick. Like it was like we've already revealed it, Leah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. We're off to a good start. We're off to a rollicking start, and that's all right. We don't edit these things, so we're good. There's just no time. Anyway, so cool. Well, I have stories about my first encounters with both of these movies. Because, like, the first Creepshow, like, the box art with, like, the Crypt Keeper, or not the Crypt. See, that's part of the problem with this, is I get it mixed up. The Creep.
The
okay?
Creeper.
Who very much looks like, I think it's just straight up the Creep.
Oh, I've always called him the Creeper, but you're probably right.
It's the Creep.
I mean, the license plate said Creep.
Right.
So, yeah.
And in the graphic novel, it's the Creep. But anyway, so it jumped out at me when I saw the box of just like this, the Creep behind like the box office, like kind of thing. It's so iconic. And I saw it at the music store in a mall when I was a kid, and they sold VHS tapes. And so I was with my grandpa, and I talked him into buying it for me. I was like 5,
Oh, wow.
6. And he was just like, you sure your parents are okay with you watching this? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. And I was able to actually get him to just, I still remember like, don't see that it's R, don't see that it's R, know what R means or anything like that. And he bought it for me. But before I could take the shrink wrap off, my dad saw it, got supremely mad at me, and had my grandpa exchange it for the Universal Monster Classic Frankenstein. I was really unhappy, but there's also no way I was ready for this film when I was like in first grade.
No.
And also Frankenstein was and is a great movie. So it's hard to be too mad about it. But like, what was your first experience with the movie?
I actually watched it when I was in college. So perfect time for me to watch it.
That is a good time.
I liked it for the most part. And I'll get into why I did not like certain aspects of it. There are some aspects, well, especially of the second one, really, where it's just cringeworthy.
Okay, all right. Well, these movies, as most anthologies do, have a frame story, as we've talked about with like VHS and things like that. And so the frame story, you got a dad played by the legendary Tom Atkins. I don't know if you recognized him from anything, but he was in Night of the Creeps and Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and many other classics. Laying into Stephen King's son Joe Hill, if you've read any of his books.
Which when I saw his credits, I was like, Joe King. Oh my goodness, Joe King! And then I was like, baby Joe Hill, right there for all of us to see.
Joseph Hillstrom King, right there in the flesh, and he's laying into him for reading comic books, this trash. And so Joe Hill's one of my favorite writers, but I don't think he'll be taking home any acting trophies.
I will say he has the longest lashes of a little boy ever. At first, I was like, is that the little boy from? And I was trying to think of it. And I'm like, it's not, it's like a mutt between the kid from E.T. and the kid from Neverending Story. And I was trying to figure out who it was. That's why in the end when I saw it, I was like, that's Joe Hill.
It's like, it looks like Stephen King. It doesn't look like any child star of the 80s.
His eyes do. His eyes, like, he has the long eyelashes, the like, I don't know, it's, anyway.
I wasn't gazing into young Joe's eyes.
I was trying to figure out who he was. I'm like, I've seen him somewhere, haven't I?
See, I just know he's in it. Like,
I didn't know it.
I'm constantly reminded, like, whenever Joe Hill brings it up on his social media accounts or something like that. It's like, oh, yeah, you were in that. Okay. And after he throws out the Creepshow comic book, Tom Atkins has the great line.
That's why God made fathers, babe.
Oh, man.
Just like, oh my gosh.
To throw away comic books, to squander the joys of children. Like, what?
Kinda?
No.
I'm just kidding. Well, Joe isn't doing too well in his room, which is decorated in great posters and monster action figures. Like, it's awesome. And he hopes his dad will rot in hell, which I'm just like, dang, Joe.
He's got a
dang, Joe, like...
creepy little kid voice. Like, he personifies... like a demon for a second.
Kind of. But then the creep shows up as Joe looks adoringly at him.
I know.
And we seg into an animated Craig season. I'm just like, why is Joe just like sitting there just smiling?
It's so loves weird. Him.
It's so weird. It's so weird. But the animated Craig is cool. And we have Tom Savini makeup effects in this movie, which Tom Savini, absolute legend, especially in the early 80s, doing makeup in Dawn of the Dead and the original Dawn of the Dead. I'm trying to think what else. Friday the 13th, the first one.
Ah.
So yeah, he's a legendary makeup artist. And then Stephen King's handling the screenplay. George A. Romero's directing. I mean, you couldn't ask for much more in 1982. I mean, these guys are pretty much firing in all cylinders at this point. They hadn't made a lot of the garbage that they'd eventually go on to make. But anyway, now granted, they've made other good stuff too, but unfortunately, this is kind of the peak of their powers in some ways. So the first segment's Father's Day. We get a nice dissolve from the illustration of the first tram. I've appreciated all the times that they like the dissolve from the illustration to the live action or the live action from the illustration. It's pretty cool.
And I will say, and I know that we'll probably be talking about it, of course, but they did a really good job of like hitting the mark on what the people in the comic book look like. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody looked the same. So if you watch this and you read the comic book, it all goes hand in hand together. It's
for the graphic novel,
yeah,
the actual graphic novel. I think they had some likeness rights issues.
Did they?
I think because some of those people don't look like the people in the graphic novel. I mean, I think they were like, well, we would have had to pay some serious money to get the actors to sign off on like drawing them exactly.
Yeah, but it still does a really good job. Like
it does well enough.
It does a good job. It does a good job.
I like the comic book being its own thing to a degree. Like that, it's like. Because there are things that are in the comic that aren't in the movie to a degree. And it's kind of like how, sometimes they'll get like a sound-alike.
Yeah.
Like, we want a song that sounds like this, and it's like, oh, it sounds kind of like this popular thing, but not quite. It's kind of like, they look kind of like them, but not quite. Which is fine.
I think they still did a good job. I'm thinking of like the people who take like way too many liberties with things. You know what I mean? Like,
sure. Like, it doesn't look nothing like them.
Dr. West, who has brown hair. No, just... I thought they did a fairly good job at all of it.
That's cool. Yeah, no, yeah.
Then, Father's Day, I was so excited because we see Ed Harris.
Young Ed Harris. Was that man ever young? I don't think he was, because, I mean, he's young here, but it's just because he has hair.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, his forehead is higher than Lord knows what. I mean, I don't know. It's something, though, to see him. It's
something, yeah. But I saw, there's a bunch of young, you'll see some of these actors, and I mean,
I looked it up though. I think he's dang near mid-30s in this movie though, which is like.
but you see them and you're just like, man, they look so much younger.
Some of these folks, yes, yeah. And I like the nice use of the comic book panels in the frame. Ang Lee's Hulk kind of did something similar, which I've never seen that movie, but
I haven't either.
It's like I remember hearing about how the fact that he would have like sequences that would be in comic book panel frames, which is pretty cool. And so they did that with her, the aunt driving in the different frames of it. I like that a lot. And so we got a bunch of rich snobs waiting on Aunt Bedelia, who killed her father with an ashtray after he had her boyfriend killed in a hunting accident, which that was wild. Just the ka-choong, and he just flies. I was like, whoa! The comic really didn't get that across. I was just like, whoa, that's great. Like, he just goes flying. It also didn't help that he screamed at her mercilessly for his cake while banging his cane on his wheelchair arms. I was ready to take the guy out. That was just like oh my gosh.
That had to have been just unnerving, and living with that day in and day out. Like, yes, that was Father's Day, of course, so it was accentuated because he really wanted his cake, but day in and day out, just catering to somebody like that, I couldn't even imagine.
Like, I'm making your cake, dude. It'll get done.
Give me a second. And I do love how, like, she's making a cake. It says Happy Father's Day, and it starts off going really well. She's putting the icing around it. And then towards the end, it's just her, like, flobbing the icing on top while she's having just a breakdown because he's screaming, "Where's my cake?"
Well, the piping bag became his neck, basically.
Yeah. As well as other obscenities. I mean, he wasn't just shouting, "Where's my cake?" He was
just downing her.
Every name in the book, and just, ugh.
It's pretty awful. And so by killing him, it basically allowed his money to flow freely to the family, making them all rich.
Very rich, yes.
Obscenely rich.
And
these folks didn't need to be rich.
Yeah, and you can tell they're snobbish about it. They are not.
They're not. They didn't start foundations.
No, no. And they're, and I'm hungry. Where's my food? Type thing. They become very pretentious and just very.
Just can't find good help these days. Yeah. Just one of those situations where I'm just like.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all stink.
Yeah. I hope something happens.
Yeah. It's like, good thing I don't like these people. So Bedelia shows up every year on Father's Day to pay her respects at her father's grave because she feels guilty. Like, there's a reason why she was the one caring for him or whatever.
I think she
it was her
genuinely
dad.
cared. She genuinely cared for him. I mean, even after what he did to her husband. And then...
I don't know what that relationship was, because it's like after that you'd think that you would just go or something, but there's something tying her to him. And so, I guess it's love, if nothing else. But this year she got more than she bargained for when her dad's zombie corpse comes out of the ground. And we got some really well done makeup and stuff. Like, it's pretty gnarly and cool looking.
That entire scene was actually really cool. And the actress, I mean, kudos to her because she does a really good job at kind of being a belligerent, like, talking to her dad, just, I don't even know how to describe that whole scene.
Kind of. She's drunk off her butt.
Yeah,
but...
she's drunk, but like she's the one who killed her dad, but she loved her dad, and she's like telling him how it is, but still being sad, and it's still Father's Day. She has all of these emotions coursing through her, and that I thought the actress did a really good job.
And that's where I'm like, I'm kind of mad because like he comes to the ground to like offer, and I'm just like, but can't you tell she's conflicted about this? Like she did it, but she feels good about it, but she doesn't feel good about it. Like, dude, like. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, like, the rest of them, fine, because they just wanted the money. Like, she didn't even really want the money. She
just snapped.
She wanted him to love her and allow her to have a life and, like, be a dad. And, like...
Yeah, and I didn't mean to say that very nonchalantly, sorry. I was like, she just snapped. It's fine. I didn't mean to say it like that.
He wore her down.
Yeah.
Like, he wore her down. It's like, dude, years of this, what are you going to expect after a while, Now the thing is, though, she could get away super easy from this zombie corpse thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yes,
it's pretty, she's just like sitting there, just like. There's a lot of this in these movies of just like, move,
yes,
anywhere,
run,
like walk at a semi-brisk clip. Like.
And then they said that it's I mean, obviously it's been years down the road. I was trying to figure out like why this year did he come back to life? And then just for some reason, I've always thought this. So mind you, this is like the 10th time that I've watched this movie, and I'm taking notes, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And I realized that the camera takes just a straight shot of her accidentally dumping the bottle of Jim Beam over, like it dumped over, and then his zombie comes out, and I'm like, did the Jim Beam bring him back to life?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. So you need to pour
years,
one out for him, and that's what brought him back.
Pour one out for your homie, and they come back to life.
Finally, the Jim Beam.
I was like, is that what happened? Because they said that it like, why that year? I was trying to, I mean.
Yeah, no, I was like, is it
the
X year of like, or this is the 10th year, the 5th?
Yeah.
Something like
I mean, it had to have gone on for a while because they all grew up with money, it seemed like. So they all had to, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if they say or not. But anyway, so he chokes her to death. The clock strikes 7 because that's usually when she'd come inside by that point. She's very punctual. They make a point of saying you could set your watch by her.
Yep.
And Ed Harris is getting his disco on. I have no doubt that this is what got him Apollo 13, The Rock, and the ability to write, direct, and star in Pollock. All right, this scene right here, the start of it all. It took a while, but it wore everyone down.
It is a straight 80s dance scene, and I love it. I love it.
Wonderful.
It's great.
I mean, disco was long dead, but they did not get the memo. And I am grateful.
And if you guys are thinking disco in terms of Saturday Night Fever, it's not like that big of arm movements. It's more of just like this. I can't even do it.
It is just.
It's like this weird. Oh, I can't do it.
It's. I'll at least no audio throw a clip on.
It's great.
It's wonderful.
It's great. Watch the movie just for the disco.
Possibly the best part of the movie. I don't know. It's possible. So anyway, so they all wonder where she is, and Ed Harris goes out to look around. At least he's not calling for a cat as he makes his way through the cemetery for a change, But the cemetery is delightfully creepy. Like the fog, the lighting, like they do a really good job of setting up the ambiance in this film. He falls into the grave because he's not paying attention, I guess, and decides to chill out, holding Ampedelia's dead hand while the headstone's pulled onto him via telekinesis ? I'm just like, he's just laying there, just
he doesn't yell. He doesn't try to get up. Like he's not even startled by seeing the zombie guy.
I thought for some reason that it was getting pushed on him by the thing, and I keep forgetting that he's like standing over there.
Yeah.
It's just so he's using his mind powers to pull the headstone onto the guy, and he's just laying there. It's like it'd be,
he slowly starts to get up, and then when it moves, he like sinks back down. I'm like, what? Stop going
it's
the wrong
direction. It's not like
direction.
you're on like glass or ice that's cracking beneath you, or like.
And he doesn't scream when he finds dead Aunt Bedelia right next to him. Like nothing. He's just
Well, he's Ed Harris. He's probably like, I'm not going to scream.
And then just right at the end, when the headstone comes smacking down, then you hear
Yeah, it's.
I mean, at least it's not overly dramatized like most other horror films that we watch. Like with the
I would have liked it
nice.
better. I would have respected it more, at least, where he's just like, show you're frozen in terror. Not like you're just, I'm going to hang here for a bit, chilling with Aunt Bedelia, I don't know.
It was his 5 seconds of glory for this show.
At least he got to dance.
He got to dance.
So the other aunt goes to check on Ed Harris, because she's an aunt, right? She's like,
I think she's
aunt
the girl's
slash mom.
daughter. Yeah, I think she's the Ed Harris's
wife's mother.
Mom. Yeah.
But is that Aunt Bedelia her sister or her aunt?
I think so. I think it's her sister, or maybe it is her aunt, because she seems a lot older.
So it's their great aunt.
Yeah.
I was confused about the relationship. So anyway, the other older lady goes to check on Ed Harris and notices dirt footprints in the dark kitchen, and then we see the dead maid?
Yeah, which is funny because so she opens up the kitchen door and it's dark.
Right.
And it's already open. She's looking around, and then all of a sudden, from between the wall and the door, the dead maid's
the
head.
Porthole, like there's a porthole like window.
It's the porthole window, and I was like, how did she even get back there?
The logistics are not set up well. Of like, this is here, where,
Yeah. And then we see Zombie Dad or Zombie Grant, whatever he is, the zombie patriarch of the family. And right?
Aunt Bedelia is called the patriarch, wasn't she, or something like that?
But he was the one.
I know, but they keep calling her the patriarch, which I'm just like, so you're going straight from, because she like had the balls to kill the guy,
him?
like so she's the patriarch, like
I don't know.
She took his mojo, like I don't
know.
I don't know. It was weird. It's like, I mean, matriarch's a thing.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
I don't know.
I mean, it can be. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna. Fine.
Yeah.
Patriarch, that's fine.
To each their own, I guess.
I'm not going to be mad about it. It's just one of those things where we're just like, you're really emphasizing, because I think they say it at least twice that she's the patriarch.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Anyway, so.
And he's just standing right there, but I was just like, how did you put the body behind the door? Anyway.
And where were you hiding?
Yeah, where was that happening? But he can also move things with his mind, so maybe he was like holding her there with his zombie telekinesis.
Yeah, we don't have much time to think about it because she twists her head all the way around, which is gnarly.
Insane. She didn't even like scream or anything. Just
I was like, man, he's got some strength.
Yeah.
Cool. Not even just mind strength. So the many kids go on a search for everyone. The doors fly open to reveal their aunt's hat on a platter with candles and frosting on it. I got my cake.
Happy Father's Day.
Oh, man. So they scream and end scene. So it fades into a comic panel, and the creep turns to the next story. And, oh my gosh, we have the lonesome death of Jordy Verrill. Now, Stephen King did not get the memo that you
Never go for triple J.
You don't do it. But he chose the scenery and the greenery as Jordy Verrill, who may be mentally handicapped and live in a shack out in the country. I don't know what's going on with him.
I don't know either, but he's just a simple man living out his simple life. As Jesse mentioned, played by Stephen King. So I was really hyped up when I first saw this, and I was told that it was Stephen King. But I mean, it's exciting when you see one of your, favorite authors acting out a character that they created.
He's not one of your favorites. Don't pretend.
He's up there. He's up there. we can't get into the Dean Koontz debate right now.
Okay. All right. Well, a meteor crashes on this property, which I always associate that with like the Blob for me.
A little bit.
Both of them.
But I love also how it's just a tiny little thing. Because when I'm reading, this was a short story, and when I was reading the short story, for some reason I was thinking it was like a massive boulder. In the movie, it's just like a little bloop.
Well, I mean, it might have been massive, and then the atmosphere wore down.
Burns through.
If it was bigger, it would have blown up his whole property like a nuclear bomb, Leah. So, I mean.
But still, it's just funny.
So he burns himself touching it, and he wonders how much the Department of Meteors at the college would pay for it, which I'm like, it must be a giant college to have a Department of Meteors. He wants $200 and not a penny less so he can pay his bank loan. Because I guess his property is going to be foreclosed on or something like that.
Because his parents did not raise a stupid man. I love how he puts those $200, $75, $200. My parents didn't raise a simple man.
Just like, oh boy.
And
okay.
I was like,
So now he has weird blisters on his fingers, and we assume are burns that he sucks on while he waits for a water bucket to fill so he can cool off the meteor because it's too hot to touch. The water splits the meteor in two, and now he fantasizes that he won't get paid anything because no one's going to buy a broken meteor.
Nope.
Oh, you done it now, Jordy Verrill. You monkhead.
And then he decides to pick it up, and he thinks, maybe I'll decide to glue it tomorrow.
Oh, Jordy.
Because the people at the Department of Meteors will never know that it's been glued together.
And the meteor's filled with blue liquid, or as he calls it, meteor. possibly the greatest thing said in this movie with the best delivery. Bless you, Stephen King.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
So we see a glowing green circle, and maybe I glue it together in the morning, like you said.
Oh, man.
So as Jordy gets sucked into the wild world of professional wrestling in the early 80s, we watch his grass starts to grow all over the shack, all up to his shack, and now his fingertips are green where the blisters were, and he freaks out.
He does. I mean, I would freak out too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So he goes to call the doctor, but decides against it when he fantasizes the doctor will just chop them off the meat cleaver.
And I love how the doctor even says, this will be painful. Like in his mind.
This is going to hurt.
This is going to hurt a lot.
Yeah, and so then he realizes he's been sucked on his fingers, and now his tongue is green,
Dun,
which,
dun, dun.
holy cow. All right, so we cut to later, and now the grass is everywhere. Jordy's back is itchy, and his grass growing all over him, and he even grows on the beer bottle, and now he upgrades to a massive screwdriver.
No.
A whole pitcher of orange juice, a whole bottle of vodka.
Just down.
Holy cow, dude.
Mr. Jordy is going through it right now.
Oh, he is.
You know,
I mean,
he has grass, moss, whatever, greenery growing all over him. And again, kudos to the makeup artist, because as this goes on and progresses and he gets more and more shrub-like, they do a very good job.
Oh, they do.
Like, very good job. So.
As Jordy says, I'm growing.
Yeah, I'm growing.
So now the shack and surrounding area is covered in plants inside and out. I like the progression. It looks really cool. It's kind of chilling to see like all this stuff growing everywhere. Jordy's super itchy and decides to try a bath. And then his dad appears in the mirror from beyond the grave to warn him against the tub.
Which...
I'm like, oof, that dad looks rough. Like,
he does. I mean, the dad looks like he might have been a strict person.
Very much so.
Lightly.
Like just nothing but disappointed in his son. And it's just like, oh, Jordy, your childhood must have been awful.
Horrible,
like,
yeah. But I will say that during this whole sequence, so in the book, they talk about how like the water, I mean, it's almost like pooling towards him. Like
his dad says like the
him,
plants are telling, like the whatever's growing on you is telling you to do this.
Yeah.
It wants the water.
Don't do it, you'll be dead. Essentially, like you'll get an early grave. And
but I'm already a goner, Dad.
Yeah, but they do a really good job at like making the water be glistening and like enticing. They show these video shots of literally just sparkling water that's alluring and
in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
really,
they
I didn't
show
really
little-
get that vibe.
they
In the
show
story,
little-
in the story, I got more that it's like drawing him in or whatever.
No,
but-
they like have different like flashes of the water that's literally sparkling and like iridescent just randomly, and he's just staring at it.
I must have missed this. All right. Okay. Well.
I thought they did a good job at trying to like pull him in, like show the mental struggle of him wanting to get into the bathtub.
He doesn't have to struggle much.
No.
He basically falls in.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, you don't just get in, you just
Tumble.
I guess it's easier because you don't want to ruin the makeup. But anyway.
Then you hear him like, oh, that's good. Oh, that feels so nice. Like he's. Well, because he also mentions that it itches. So, like, the growing is itching him and driving him almost insane just by...
Right, and he's hoping that really itching. And he's like, oh, it feels better. It feels good. And then we cut to, like, later, and the farm report's on TV talking about, you know, crops and stuff. And now Jordy's basically completely a plant, like, completely covered. And his voice is all modulated. Please, God, let my luck be in just this once as he grabs a double-barrel shotgun. And he's able to end his suffering with the shotgun. It's pretty sad and gnarly. And the farm report predicts that a massive amount of rain is on the way, and that Castle County will turn so green it'll seem miraculous.
And you see the greenery just like etching on.
Right, past his property.
Past the property. And
there's signs for Castle Rock
yeah,
and some
which I
other
thought
Stephen
was cool.
King references there, which is kind of fun. And so then it goes to the comic panel, and then we see an ad for a voodoo doll in the comic book pages. It's going to come back. And the third segment... In the meantime, something to tide you over, which, holy crap. Now, I'd grown up with Cheers, with Naked Gun, with Airplane. So this was something of a shock to see Leslie Nielsen and Ted Danson playing characters like this in a movie like this.
This is the one that stands out in my mind the most, this little segment. Love Leslie Nielsen. I loved Mr. Magoo. You can laugh at me all you want when he played Mr. Magoo.
I was already old at that point. I read the reviews and
I loved it.
It's okay.
But Naked Gun, Airplane, all of that. He plays such a good funny guy. Such a good funny guy. So in this one, he is a villain. And he chilled me to the bone.
Great villain. I mean, campy.
Yes.
Still chilling, but campy.
It's one of those villains where And I love these types of villains too, where it's like a dark comedy. Like it's like a twist. Like him being happy kind of makes you be like, oh, that's really creepy in the same time. Like when he's doing things and he's just singing and being jolly, it's like, oh, that's so twisted. But that's so you're Mr. Magoo. Like, what are you doing right now? Favorite. Just saying. Yeah.
Well, I remember my mom telling me, like, he's done serious roles, and I'm like, what? And so I went back and I watched Poseidon Adventure when I was like a teenager after I'd seen all these movies, and he was really good in that as like the ship captain.
Okay.
And so he played a serious role there. And then Forbidden Planet, he's like the lead hunky male lead, like a Captain Kirk type dude in that movie.
Did not know that.
Yeah, he's young. His hair is dark. I'm like, what?
I don't think I've ever seen him with his hair.
I know,
dark.
right? Like you should check out Forbidden Planet. It actually kind of holds up. I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember like, wow, this is actually not. I thought it was going to be boring.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that.
I liked it pretty well. It's got Robbie the Robot, iconic. Anyway.
And then we also have Ted Danson, another man who is just.
He's still kicking. He's thrived on TV.
Yeah, The Good Place was wonderful.
Some people like Becker and Cheers. And
he's done very well for himself. But again, I'm so used to seeing him with white, gray, speckled hair. He has some lush brown hair.
Oh, I mean, Cheers. Yeah.
Some of that was anyway. I think it's just so used to seeing them from today.
Pre-3 Minute a Baby franchise, pre-Cheers, pre all this.
But seeing these two men who became
with all this other baggage on them, it's like it's so fun to see them playing roles that they basically never get to play again. Which I'm just like, these guys, there's potential. You could have had so much more stuff with these guys. I wish, especially Leslie Nielsen, he got so pigeonholed.
I agree.
And maybe he had fun and made good money and he was happy with it.
And that's what it's all about.
Which is not necessarily.
If that's what he likes to do, and
as long as he's happy doing it, I'm hoping he was happy making like crap like Dracula Dead and Loving It, which I love
Dracula Dead and
Loving It. I hated it so much. I was so sad for him.
Dracula Dead and Loving It.
I couldn't even watch Spy Hard because I'm just like, oh, dude, what are you doing? Yes, I can. I saw it in theaters.
Dracula Dead and Loving It's great.
It's terrible. It just
right up there with Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Really, don't do this to me. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway, he deserved better. Because he went out with Spy Hard, Dracula Dead and Loving It, Mr. Magoo. Those are some of the last movies on his resume before he passed away.
Yep.
And it depresses me so much.
They were wonderful. All of them were wonderful. Doesn't depress me at all, Mr. Nielsen.
I'm glad he made you happy. He made me sad.
He made me sad.
I hope he made good money, and he was happy. If he was, great. So Nielsen shows up at Ted Danson's place to confront him because Danson's been sleeping with his wife, Becky. Nielsen...
No.
What?
So that's a no.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Yeah,
Nielsen demands to be let in or else something bad will happen to her.
The point is, I keep what is mine. No exception to that rule ever.
Chilling.
Yes.
So if Danson kills Nielsen, then he'll never know what's going on.
And he does a very good job at playing that mental mind game.
He does.
Ted Danson's character actually stands up for himself quite a bit, where he's like, "No, I'm not going to do this. No, I'm not going to do that."
I can bench press 300 pounds. Get your foot out of the door. I'm like,
I was cracking
Ted Danson, you cannot bench press 300 pounds. All right, dude. Like,
I was cracking up.
I love you, but you can't bench 300, okay?
I love the throwing the weight number around as if that means anything. But yeah.
Anyway.
I love the fact that he tries to stand up for himself, and Leslie Nielsen's character is so chilling that he's just he has a retort to everything. Like you said, well then you'll never know where she is. Well then,
because he plays like a tape recording of her saying, "He's got me, you gotta help me," or whatever. You gotta
If you don't come, then please, Harry.
Yep, she's calling out for him. Is it Henry or Harry? I forget.
It's Ted Danson. I just call him.
It's Ted Danson.
I say Danson and Nielsen, basically. I don't really care about their character names because they're actors to me.
Harry. It's Harry.
Okay, Harry. Fine. Be that way. Make them characters. Anyway. But yeah, so he decides to willingly just go with him at this point. Just because it's like, okay, I guess I got to find out what's going on.
He has Rebecca
I'll cater to this old guy. We're gonna tell you anyway. Whatever.
Bench 300 pounds and beat him up later. Whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love Nielsen's line.
Subject to what is mine, for example, I am not sane at all.
And on the subject of what's mine, I'm not sane at all.
Oh, man.
So good.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I basically wish Leslie Nielsen got to play more like serious campy roles than
I
just
agree.
straight up parodies. Like, I mean, make a serious movie in between
I
or
do
something,
agree.
you know?
He does this so well.
So Nielsen makes Danson get into a hole in the sand at gunpoint, which he does, as he would.
But he does it unwillingly, just because he even says like, "You're gonna kill me, so just go ahead and shoot me."
Yeah, he does, and Nielsen actually shoots the gun like next to him and stuff.
Yeah.
And it takes a while for. I mean, Danson doesn't just like.
He
get
doesn't
in
just
there.
roll over like
Yeah.
you mostly see.
Which I appreciate. I'm
Yeah.
like, cool. Like this is cool. He's.
But then
standing up for
again, Leslie Nielsen's character Richard is constantly like, well, no, you might be able to get out. Like you can get out when the tide comes in. Blah blah.
You have
He's
a
like,
chance. You gotta hold your breath. Like he's like.
He has this thing, and he's making it seem like there really is a chance. Like he's.
So you're saying there's
a
a chance?
chance. So it's like gunpoint. There's a chance, but he's still. I mean, kudos to Harry for literally trying to stand up for himself at every chance that he could get. So.
Yeah. So Nielsen bears up to his neck after promising that he'll get to see Becky once all that's complete. He sets up a TV monitor. Which in '82, it's like, man, he's got some seriously expensive tech.
Oh, he has like cables in the back of his car,
right,
like
yeah.
the cable wheels and everything.
It's crazy. So you can see her promise. So she lost a coin toss, so she had to bury her further up the beach, which I guess also means closer to the water. I'm not exactly sure how that works. I guess maybe parts of the beach are just naturally lower.
Yeah,
I don't know.
know.
But he also sets up a camera because he'll be recording both of their deaths on VHS tape, which I'm like, dang, this dude had some money in '82.
For his home movies. He says that for his home movie collection, which then I'm starting to think maybe he was the first one that started the VHS franchise and passing those things around, and that's how.
Man, if they could have got the rights and like made that a thing, that'd have been interesting. Like if we even just like labeled on one of the tapes was like tied over, or like Harry,
great.
Becky, like on one of those. Oh, that'd been a cool little.
It would have been a really cool cameo. Yeah, like boop. But even when we go back to his house and he is watching them because buried up to their necks, and he has all these videos, like you can tell he's sort of a voyeur. Like he's
got closed circuit cameras all over his house. He's got monitors like behind paintings and everywhere. Monitors everywhere.
Monitors
like he wants.
Everywhere.
He likes to watch.
Yes, and then there's like a bunch of VHS tapes alongside a countertop by his bed, which is weird, and he's like, oh. The maid has been moving stuff around again. So he's very particular. Like you can tell he likes where his things are. He makes a lot of money. Like
But for a dude who likes his privacy, he has a maid. Like I don't know. It's weird.
I thought it was true, but
now there's a really maudlin synth score going on, which I didn't really appreciate a lot.
I didn't even catch it.
Oh, okay. But Richard makes a point that he owns much of the beach, so he can scream all he wants, which sounds pretty good scene.
Yes.
But it tells you, filled with monitors, close to cameras. He pours a drink to enjoy the show, and he has a nice maniacal laugh. I enjoyed his maniacal laugh. It was good.
He has a very good, just low voice. He's got just a good voice for just villains.
Yeah, he could have been a Morgan Freeman style like documentary narrator or something. Like,
he has a good voice.
Bummer he never get that paycheck, but yeah. So then it's the next day. He picks up his video equipment from the beach. There's no body to be found. He says basically he thinks that the current pulled him out.
The tide pulled him out. Well, that was the other thing too. Is it was really sad because Harry had to watch Rebecca die. So he had these video cameras. So that was the TV that he set up.
Well, the monitor shorted out as the water came in for him, so he didn't get to see her last. He got to see her last moments.
He's in the sand and there's water connect. Wouldn't he get electrocuted? He was right there.
I think he's largely grounded. Like he wasn't touching the TV or.
I just figured like the water would have been intermixed
with the
sand
underneath. I don't know how far
though
it goes out, and then I don't
know. I mean, we're trying to put realistic
things
into.
Flowing. I don't know if like the circuit breaker got popped, but then the camera, depending on the camera's on the same circuit breaker.
The camera was there, but it was on a tripod.
And the VCR is there too,
the VCR
right?
And it was pushed further back though. Like he purposely put it.
No, but if they're on the same circuit and then the monitor blew the circuit.
So
I don't know.
I don't know.
We're thinking too much about this. It's still a fun conceit.
But but it was that's sort of like a terrifying thing when you're watching two people being buried up to their necks and then a tide's coming over and they're, you know what I mean? You know what's going to happen. But it was
nothing I'd want to have happen.
No, nothing whatsoever. But he has to watch Rebecca, so Richard's wife, his lover, just be hit wave after wave while.
And he knows it's coming for him, and then like the water hits him, and it makes it super real for him. He's like, okay,
it's true.
And
I love the moment when Richard is watching them, at the house. So going back to what I was
But
talking about
I was like
before.
seeing him under the water was
Yeah,
a creepy scene too.
that's
like, where
true.
He's like he's blowing water out of his nostrils. He's just like, forget this, I'm just done. And it's just like,
Before that, I love it when he looks up at the camera and he knows Richard's
oh yeah, and he's like,
watching.
I'm gonna get you,
but he
Richard.
just
It's such a
snaps
great,
his head.
it's so iconic.
I'm gonna get you. You hear me, Richard?
Just like where he whips his
He
head
does,
to the camera.
and it's still buried in the
so
sand.
good.
And he's like,
It's almost like an Evil Dead thing. Like, we're gonna swallow your soul. And
It's
I'm just
great.
like, oh, it's so like, get you, Richard. Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, that's like,
it's great.
if it should be in his Lifetime Achievement Award, like at the Emmys or something thing.
Yeah.
Like that needs to be in the reel, I think.
Yep,
Even
I
though
agree.
it's a movie, not TV. I think
I agree.
It still needs to be on the career retrospective, the in memoriam, or whatever it needs to be. That scene of it.
I will get you.
It's such a just
He
the way
does
he
a good
whips his
head
head
snap.
around. Like,
Yes.
it's so good. So anyway, we cut later that night, and Richard gets a bad feeling, and we see some movement outside, like through the curtains. We see like
Some
silhouettes.
like fog
There's-
and
yeah.
shadows and
And he tries to calm himself down, assuring himself they're gone,
the
blub,
tide
blub,
pulled
blub.
them out. The tide pulled the bodies out.
And now we see shambling figures covered in seaweed making their squishy way through the house, and fog's coming in as well. Now, they don't seem to show up in the cameras, is that right? Like, you just see fog on the cameras, like where they're at?
You see just heavy fog everywhere on the cameras, but
Yeah, that's
they're
what I
walking
thought. Because it's like, I thought they were at the
slow.
monitor, and then we see like dark fog, and I'm like, so basically the camera's just recording fog moving
Yep.
around, is what I'm trying to understand.
And there
from
is a
this.
lot of heavy fog in these movies. I will say that.
The fog machines were on point. And
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it. I think it was a good effect. I think it was used to nice effect.
Whoever had the dry ice or the fog machine was working overtime.
Yeah, they're taking care of business. So yeah, so they don't. Let's see here. So Harry and Becky are there. They can't be killed with a gun.
No.
We just
because-
want to see you down at the beach.
And I will say their voice, they're like waterlogged, gurgling
Oh, it's
voice.
modulated. It's the Creepshow modulation.
But it's hysterical because you just hear them like, come down to the beach with us.
Yeah.
Don't lose your head.
And then like the Tom Savini like effects as they're getting hit with the bullets, and the black blood is just
Yep.
pouring down their faces. Like it's pretty gnarly and well done.
You can't kill us, we're already dead.
Yeah. And so so basically they teleport into his bedroom that he's locked himself into, and then they bury him on the beach, complete with the camera. I can hold my breath for a long time.
Which is great.
Oh man.
He is still so just like,
And then the look on his face when the water hits him, it's like, oh wait,
what?
not
Oh,
so sure.
oh, yeah, never mind.
Not sure anymore.
Get out of here.
So yeah, then that cuts
Great.
the illustration at that point. And we get our fourth segment, the crate.
So this is one of my friend's favorites.
Okay.
Absolutely love the crate. I loved Tide Me Over, or Something to Tide Me Over, whatever.
Sure.
Favorite one. But the crate, I will say, has a very twisted feel to it. It's creepy. You feel like you know what's going on, but you don't.
Yeah, to a degree.
To a degree. I did not see the end. I remember watching this for the first time and not seeing the ending of this short coming.
I keep, like Stephen King, like we've talked about it with Children of the Corn. Stephen King has a serious men who hate women
Yes.
thing, and anything where he adapts his work, it really comes across way too strongly. I'm just like, is your relationship with your spouse okay, dude? Like, I'm just hoping it's good. Like, I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, I don't know. Especially the written page stuff. But anyway, so a janitor loses a quarter and discovers a crate locked under a stairwell at a local university. Then we cut to a garden party. It seems of faculty and spouses just randomly
Yeah.
happening. And we meet Henry and his lovely wife, Billy, who just seems like the best. She's drunk
She is
and belittles her husband with just about every word out of her mouth. Oh, Henry, what would you do without me? You're absolutely worthless.
So I completely forgot that she's played by Adrienne. What's band?
Bardot?
Barbeau.
I think it's Barbeau.
I don't
John
know.
Carpenter's ex-wife.
Yeah.
The Fog. She's great in
Swamp
Fog.
Thing. Swamp Thing. She's in Swamp Thing.
Ta-da.
So I was so excited when I saw her, and then I remembered her character is supposed to be extremely annoying, loud-mouthed.
Mission accomplished.
Yes. She is one of those ladies where every single time her husband does something, it is the complete, where would you be without me, Harry? Or Henry? Where would you be without me, Henry? Like one of those just, she goes over the top, and she's got just this loud,
She's so
She
obnoxious.
tweaked her voice to where it is like nails on a chalkboard.
Oh, just call me Billy. Everyone does.
Just call me Billy.
Oh.
Everyone calls me Billy.
Oh. She
And
did a good job
She's
playing
annoying to
that
everybody.
part.
And we also meet Dex and a new faculty member. So Billy's putting up everyone at the party, and she's a snoop.
Yep.
And Dex is flirting with a younger woman, which I'm just like, dude, I think she's younger than grad student.
Well, at first I thought that Dexter Stanley was Wilma/Billy. They're the same. Yeah, she goes by Billy, right?
I
Yeah,
just do
think
Bill. I
so.
say Billy.
I thought that they were
Everyone
together.
tells her to call her Billy, so I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, great, I'll go with it. It's Wilma.
It's
but
yeah, which I got
Wilma,
confused
Billy.
at first.
I'm like,
I have
I'll
no
call you
clue.
Billy. It's fine.
I didn't know that that's like the shortened version of it. I don't know. But I thought that they were together, but they're not.
No.
So
yeah.
they are not. Just so everyone
I guess
is clear about
Dex
that.
is a widower
Yeah.
who's lonely.
Because
and-
at first, because she was giving him the stink eye, and I was like, oh, he's hitting on a lady in front of his wife, man. But
no, she's just
not.
like, oh,
She's just-
saucy,
yeah, she's just
juicy
wanting the
gossip.
She is
Yeah.
wanting to know what is
Got
happening.
some hot goss
Yeah.
to share now. Yeah. It's just kind of weird and unsettling.
It's true.
Just like she is
However,
super young.
She's got Billy's got super good evil eye. Just to let you know.
She does. Yeah.
She's got it. The like, what are you doing over there?
Oh yeah, the suspicious.
Yeah.
The hairy eyeball. So janitor calls Dex and tells him that the date on this crate, and he's like, it's probably just still National Geographics. I'll see it another time. He's like, well, it's from 1834. I don't think they had National Geographics back then, did they? And it's an Arctic expedition. So Dex goes in to check it out.
His interest has been piqued. He is a professor, obviously.
I'm trying to remember of what. Did they say of what?
I don't. Yeah, I don't
Of-
think they do.
Expeditionary, science-y
I don't think
slash.
they do. He just
yeah.
likes to play chess.
Cool. So Henry fantasizes about blowing Billy's head off and everyone applauding him, saying, good shot, which was wild.
At first, I thought, well, when you first see it, you think that it's like, what's going on? You think that Henry just snaps
Billy!
and just shoots his wife, and everyone's applauding him, but really he's
Hell of a shot.
it's all a daydream. So he is fantasizing about killing his wife
Slaughtering
in
her
the most
in
it's
public,
the craziest way.
at a party.
And he thinks people will be so happy for him.
Just like,
Everyone
thank
will
goodness
be
someone
happy.
finally did it. Like,
Yeah, he thinks everyone will be so much happier without his wife around.
I mean, the way people are talking, they would be.
It's true. Yeah.
Maybe not want to see that happen right in front of them like that, but anyway,
But
so
still.
Dex and the janitor open the stairwell, and they have to work together to move the crate because it is super heavy. Like,
Which-
what is in this thing?
I thought that was another funny move. The fact that Professor Stanley is trying to move this crate and he's like not getting it to budge whatsoever. And then him and the janitor barely reach in and they can tug it out. And then they can also carry it themselves.
Yeah, it gets lighter as the movie goes.
Yeah. So
Anyway, we'll get there. So, so they have to unlock the chains around the crate. They pry off the top. There's a really bad smell. They hear some chittering in the crate, which is kind of fun. Remind me of like Gizmo.
yeah, it was like birds cooing, like a little, or else like monkeys cooing.
Yeah, I was
Like,
waiting to hear the Gizmo
playful
song.
little. And then something gold and shiny is in there.
Yeah, so then he reaches in just like, I'm gonna go touch this. And
Like a couple of emeralds.
so the creature inside bites him and the crate tips over and it looks a bit like a baboon with tons of teeth.
So at first, the eyes, I was like, werewolf. And I love how it goes, something shiny's in there. Then you see golden eyes and he reaches in. I'm like,
That's a great
golden
idea,
eyeballs?
dude.
What?
Yeah. I see eyeballs. I want to touch it.
I
Like,
was just thinking of like Henry and the Hendersons. Or
oh
what?
yeah,
Like,
he's got a
he
head
looks
kind of like
exactly
he does.
like
You're
him.
right.
I was like,
You're
so
right.
Bigfoot? Henry? Yeah, I was like, is it? But it's an Arctic expedition, so why isn't it the Yeti or like the?
Oh man, I didn't even think about put all that together.
Yeah, I was just like, why isn't it like what?
It's a cool puppet though.
Why isn't it like an abominable snowman? But instead, it literally looks like
It
they're trying to
is.
do like a Bigfoot.
It's got to be that's what it is.
Yeti
It's an
type
abominable
thing?
snowman Yeti. Yeah, it's a little one. It's
But
like a baby.
he looks exactly like Henry and the Hendersons.
Just really tiny.
Like,
in the
exactly.
crate.
Unless he's in the crate, the eyes look nothing like the eyes of the puppet that they used to show the monster. The
True.
eyes in the crate look like a werewolf. Just saying.
It's okay.
Very confusing.
Yeah, it's all right.
Or maybe he's
So-
a shapeshifter.
The janitor's dazed, and I'm like, is he dead? His hand and arm are just a little
Yeah.
chewed up. He's acting like he's just sitting there like he's dead. But then he starts to stir as the creature pulls him inside and eats him as Dex look on, which is just unsettling. Like, you don't really get to see anything.
No.
Just seeing his body twitching and blood gradually like spinning down, just like, oh my
And
gosh.
yet again, we have another run. The professor is just standing there, and he's just watching it all happen, and he's just not moving away from
He's just frozen.
the crate.
But he does run, and he runs into the student working with him, and Dex says they have to get security, and then meanwhile, the creature's dragging the crate back to the stairs. The student decides they should leave security out of it because they'll think they're drunk. He's like, I'm having a hard time believing you. What's security going to say?
Yeah.
So the student decides to check it out by himself. Good for you, bud. Dex thinks the creature moved the crate under the stairs because it felt safe there. There's a bloody shoe in front of the crate, and the student wants it to measure the bite marks.
And you do see, like, blood. You see
Everywhere.
a bloody tire
Yeah.
iron, or not a tire iron.
Flashlight?
Crowbar.
Oh, crowbar, okay.
Because they were trying to pry it open. So the student first thinks that the professor, like, killed somebody.
Oh, I forgot
and
about
is
that,
putting
yeah.
it all into it. But then, then you see, like, the crate blood marks going underneath the stairs. And then, of course, why would the guy... Okay, so the kid starts to believe the professor. Why would he be like, I need to measure the bite mark? He just killed somebody and was strong enough to pull this crate underneath the stairs and just did blah, 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 blah. So he grabs the shoe, which I was like, okay, he wasn't eating after he grabbed the shoe.
Cool.
He got
But
the
then
shoe.
he
He
just
got what
hangs
he
out.
wanted.
He's just like, I'm a party under here,
Yeah,
dude.
and then he's like, no, I don't want to see it. I just want to mess with the bite mark. And then he starts opening up the crate. And I'm like, what? Your actions do not match your words, mister. Like, what are you doing?
He's a full bag of tools.
So, well, he becomes a bag of flesh afterwards.
After the creature takes a massive bite out of him, like just rips his face. Like, it's really cool makeup.
It
It's
is.
really well done. Tom
It
Savini. Thumbs up, man.
But yeah, so bye-bye, student. And
Yep. And Dex runs off to Henry.
Professor Stanley's still there, but yeah, he's able to still get away. I guess the monster he only needs one body at a time.
So Dex has clearly gone bye-bye at this point. His mind is a little bit broken.
Yes.
And so he tells Dex the whole story and talks about how they could dump the crate in a nearby quarry so the creature can't hurt anyone anymore. And then Dex has an idea.
Henry.
Henry has an idea. Yeah, you're right. So he drugs Dex so he'll sleep and heads to the university after leaving a note for Billy. Gotta let Billy know where he's at. And so he cleans up the blood while his wife reads the note he left, which mentions salacious info.
Oh, man.
Saying that Dex attacked a grad student at the university. And she's hiding under the stairs.
And he needs Billy to come and help
He just
her.
doesn't know what he would do. She's so level-headed in these situations.
She's the only one who'll be able to figure it out. He needs her. He needs her. He
Yes,
plays
you
into
do,
her
Henry.
so well.
He plays her like a
Kudos
fiddle.
to Henry. And the entire time, Miss Billy is like in the kitchen, pouring herself a drink while she's like chuckling and reading.
He just leads her down the primrose path.
Man.
Like, it is wild.
It was so good.
Like,
I was
Henry,
just like,
man, you...
He knows, he knows his wife. He had to have given her some sort of chances because he knows her well enough to play her like a fiddle. So,
yeah, it's nuts. So he lures her to the stairs, but she's suspicious, so he shoves her and just bangs her against the crate, trying to wake the creature. Like, dinner time!
And at first I thought, like, oh, he actually is going to kill her. Like, he's going to blunt force
I wondered if that was
trauma,
going to, it was
like,
going to,
bang her head. But that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't work. She hits
she
him with a
just
purse.
sits there and starts to berate him, calling him, like just the tiniest little man ever.
It's just wild, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you go.
And then I don't know why the monster chooses then to come out and get her. But like the monster's over from the side, wasn't it? I think
it was in the. I was
crate.
behind her in the crate. I think it pops open the crate.
Maybe with the student, yeah. But the student, it was I don't know.
It was off to the side for the student. Yes.
But I was just like, was this monster just in the crate, like cracking up, listening to them argue?
You're just like, I'm gonna let her get in a few more blows.
Yeah.
Like one last like. I gotta give her that much.
Obviously, noise isn't what disturbs him, or movement, or anything like that, because his crate's
He likes
been
to attack.
banged.
He's like the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody expects the creature from the crate. Like
he like waits it
you
out.
think I'll attack then, but no, I will attack.
He has to get the jump on people.
Exactly.
It was so funny. But then, so then she dies, which, but pre all of this, Henry cleaned up the mess from everyone else's death.
So she went
So
obviously
he
see
really
blood everywhere.
is like kind of in this psychotic sort of state because he already knows what he wants to do. He is leading his wife to her death. And so he is like cleaning up this murder scene.
I mean, he had a second fantasy about strangling her with his tie.
It's true. That is true.
He is...
But like he does it again, and then like she's eaten or whatever, and he like cleans it up again, and then you see him slowly trying to put the chains back together by by one little padlock, which I didn't know one little itty bitty tiny padlock could contain that sort of monster.
I
And
mean, he had just in the last like few hours eaten 3 people completely.
but still,
Bones and all, he's full of 3 people.
food is a source of energy, Jesse, so you'd think that it would make him stronger.
Have you ever eaten 3 grown human beings?
I have not, but I've eaten 3 grown pizzas, and I felt my
You felt ready to like
stronger.
run a marathon and like push some weight?
I
and, like,
jumped on that treadmill like you wouldn't believe.
So how hard did you throw up at that point, Leah? That's what I'd want to know.
Don't ask the other person.
Yeah, so it worked though. He
But-
locked him in.
And then in the end, yeah, he got him locked in, but then in the end also, Henry was able to pick up the trunk.
You know, that's what I mean. He got
himself.
lighter. He ate people and got lighter. It's the revert. It's like the dieting thing. Like you eat as much as you possibly can,
that be-
and you lose weight.
That'd be wonderful.
That's just how that works. Yeah. For this thing. So he was able to lock it up, chain it up, take it out to the quarry by himself, dump the crate in the water, and then relays the whole story to Dex.
And he says that he feels like the monster in the crate knew what was coming to him. He knew. He saw his fingers were able to get out, and then they slowly receded back into the box right
All right,
before
we'll see
he
how this
dropped
plays
them
out.
Yeah, so he knew his death was coming upon him. He handled it gracefully.
But I don't think so, because it looks like the creature has or will break out of the crate in the quarry. So,
Yes. So that is the final scene that we get is the creature with werewolf eyes now.
yeah, with bubbles flying like it's going to pop open the crate here and take a swim.
Or maybe it'll come back underneath your stairs. Dun dun dun.
Maybe. But we're not going to find out in the sequel because it doesn't come back. So instead of the creature creeping up, now we got something else creeping up on you with the 5th segment. So a man in a very sterile looking apartment, he kills a cockroach while wearing a surgical mask, which is a little close to home right now, mask-wise at least.
True.
So he talks to himself, mentioning that he owns the apartment building and that heads will roll for there being bugs in his apartment, because we find out this apartment's not only supposed to be bug-proof, it's supposed to be germ-proof.
Yes.
Nothing in this apartment.
At first, before I caught a hold that he was like a germaphobe to the extreme, at first I thought that was like a futuristic setting. His apartment looks, I mean, it's very white. It just has a computer monitor.
It's 1982 futuristic.
Yes,
but
yes, very true. But it almost has that like Twilight Zone-ish feel to it. Is what I was catching. I was like, so like zero germs. Is it set in the future? Is he what is going on here?
Yeah, it's all super white and supposed to be super clean, but there are cockroaches skittering around everywhere.
With the nasty old man. He's not nasty in terms of like looks or his demeanor, just mean.
He's just so mean.
Yes.
He's kind of evil. He's an evil dude. He's got a cool little vacuum disposal unit that he puts like his
That he
surgical
uses
mask
all
in
the
and
time.
like sucks it down, which I'm just like, that's kind of cool, I guess. But once you want to have like a lid that like allows for the suction to be more stronger, that you'd like knock it closed, hit the vacuum so it'll really have that suction.
But
Oh well. Anyway, so his weird high-tech phone rings. Like, it's got the worst ringtone in the
does. I
world.
have that in my
I'm like,
notes,
it's like,
too.
I'm like, is it breaking? Like, does
that's why I was
it
like,
work?
Is it like a futuristic?
Is the battery running out?
Are
like,
they trying to make it sound futuristic, or is that like just the ringtone that they stuck with? Because it is horrible.
It's awful. Yeah. So it's George at his office, and so the building super's on vacation, and he'll be fired if he doesn't show up to fix this problem. And the apartment, this is where we find out it's supposed to be germ-proof, let alone cockroach-proof. So George tells him that Pratt Industries, his company, so this guy's Mr. Pratt, he owns most of this company called Pacific Aerodyne, or most of the stock in Pacific Aerodyne. And we find out the head of this company, Pacific Aerodyne, has killed himself, and now Pratt is super psyched about it because he doesn't have to offer him a seat on the board of Pratt Industries.
He is extremely happy. He is giddy about it.
Oh yeah, he's super psyched.
Which
It's
is
like,
then
whoa,
even
dude.
worse when he gets phone call from his wife, from the gentleman who passed away's wife, and he is like happy on the phone to her while she is in mourning.
I'm the wife of the man you murdered this afternoon.
Oh yeah, no, it's
horrible.
And she's like, I can't wait till you die. I hope you die painfully.
Yeah, she gives it right back to him,
Yeah,
and he's
she
just
is
like,
just-
okay, whatever.
Whatever, lady. I'm super psyched. Your husband's dead.
I
sucked.
gotta go because there's a cockroach.
Yeah, it's oh my gosh. So yeah, then the building super calls from Orlando. It's time to take the kids to Disney World. I'm like, oh my gosh, they could say Disney World in this movie? But anyway, so Pratt demands that the person working in the building superstead, as well as the exterminator, better both be at his apartment in less than an hour, or else he's losing his job, which Disney's expensive, so he needs to keep his job.
And he like says, anyway. horrible. No, he just says horrible things.
Oh, he's nasty to the guy. I'm like, let the guy have a vacation with his family, dude. I get it. Like, it's not his fault. Like, anyway, well, he thinks it's his fault. I mean, it's like, did the guy design the apartment? It sounds like you designed like every aspect of your apartment.
What are you talking about? And this guy is filthy rich, and you can just tell like he just because the entire time you see all of his stocks and his accounts, the money in every single account was in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands.
I missed that part of the screen.
Yeah, it's like all of his accounts. He's filthy rich, and he just treats people like cockroaches. It's disgusting.
Yeah, he's a total Scrooge, and he like makes a weird, sick, disgusting puree, not realizing there are cockroaches in it.
Which I could tell immediately when he was pureed
right?
it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's brown chunks.
Oh,
Please
gosh.
don't eat it.
Yeah, and so then Mr. White shows up, and Pratt is quite racist. And yeah, Mr. White will call the exterminators, and we see more cockroaches running around. He looks out the window and sees the light in a skyscraper go completely out, which is just like, what?
And then he's like,
now, granted, there's a
blackouts
thunderstorm,
again.
but yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess his company owns is a power company of some energy company of some kind. He's like, if this was my company, running the power, then we wouldn't have this issue or something. And then bugs start pouring out the drains, the vents, etc. And then his power goes out. He hits the emergency power button to turn the lights on, which I'm just like, he has an emergency power button?
He's got so much money. He can
I
do
guess.
What
So then he calls the police, but they blow him off because they have bigger problems, which I'm just like, I love the idea of just cockroaches just starting to take over the entire city, which they don't do a good enough job of implying that's what's going on. So Pratt locks himself into some kind of panic room, which I guess is his bedroom, and he thinks he's safe.
Which is weird. It's like an extra
A clean room
hypoallergenic.
inside the clean room.
Yeah.
It's like it got oxygen tanks and like the whole deal. I'm like, that's kind of cool. But his sheets are undulating and cockroaches are just everywhere, like on the bed and everything, and they swarm him.
And he finds this out right when the widower calls back again.
Oh yeah, and she's like, I hope you die. I hope you die.
Yeah,
like, yeah,
over and
as
over
he's being
again.
covered with cockroaches. Power comes back on, and Mr. White arrives at the apartment. What's the matter, Mr. Pratt? Bugs got your tongue? Oh my gosh.
So I have a theory with this.
Yes?
My theory is that Mr. Pratt is actually in a psych ward.
You think so?
Yeah, because the entire time, don't you be nice to me, boy. And the guy outside the door is seeming like what's going on today, Mr. Pratt? You having a good day? Like he seems like he is trying to like talk. Not saying that you should do that whatsoever, but most portrayals of
like an orderly at a psych
yeah, they
institution or
tend to do
something.
that and be like overly friendly and overly calming, and that could be why when he called the police.
But wouldn't that
he
be
kept
someone
saying,
who's like in a more of a service position, like some rich butthead? Like
it could be
I feel like it'd be
too.
almost the same way of just like
It could be too, but I just thinking like, and then maybe that's why when he called the police and he kept saying like, you know who I am, I'm Mr. Pratt, and he's like, yes, we've got better things to do. Yeah, like I just thought maybe this happens all the time, like he sees bugs all the time. And he freaks out, which is why he had to have like this germaphobe place, but he does have a lot of money.
But then reading the graphic novel gave me a different reading though, because it seemed like cockroaches were taking everything over. Because then Mr. White like looks like a cockroach on the screen, which they don't do in the movie.
Yeah. Which
bummed me out because I'm like, then I started to wonder, is he insane? Is this all in his head? Is it all psychosomatic that he like basically caused these cockroaches to be here, or they're all in his head and he basically choked on his own fear of these cockroaches?
That could have been it too, because in the movie, like the cockroaches are gone from his house and they're all in the panic room, and they were inside of him.
Yeah, and then, they start spewing out of him and fill his panic room.
Rotten from the core. So yeah, I don't know.
Sense about this. Sorry. Anyway,
I don't know, but that was just I was like, so. Was it all in his head? And maybe he was in like some sort of ward or
well, he
some
kind
sort
of was.
of
He was in a ward of his own creation. Like, I mean, I don't think he needs to be. I don't need to have that reading because he's basically he's isolated himself in such a way. He might as well be locked in his own psych ward because he's in like his illness of being so scared of germs has caused him to self-isolate in pretty much a room that's completely a cell. He's made his own cell. He doesn't need to be in a psych ward. He's made his own ward essentially.
That is true.
And he's got enough money to pay people to like cater to his every whim. I mean, it's or whatever. Like, so I could see it going either way, but I read it more along the lines of either it's all in his head, and no matter what, he's in this apartment. He's a rich butthead in this apartment, and that he's. I don't see the reading that he's in a psych ward and it's like all in his head, but it could all be in his head if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like, I think that's more along those lines. Because I was waiting for them to go into his apartment. And like he's just dead,
and there aren't any bugs anywhere.
There are no bugs anywhere.
Yeah,
and it's like he basically his own fear just killed him. Like the irony of like he was so afraid of bugs that he basically gave himself a heart attack or something, kind of thing. They didn't go there either.
Nope. They
But
just left it.
yeah, but it was still gross. And the makeup effects pretty good, where they're like pouring out of his throat and stuff. And I'm like, how many cockroaches were harmed? Because they used real cockroaches. And I'm like, did he squish real cockroaches? Like, is that okay? Like, because bugs, you can't really do that with bugs. But I don't know. In '82, maybe you could have gotten away with it. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know what the state of hurting bugs in movies was in 1982-ish.
It was sort of. I'm not a bug fan. I'm also not terrified of bugs, but it gives you the
Squishing them for
creepy-crawlies,
movies,
how many,
I just don't. Yeah.
Well, how many they had on set?
Oh,
and them
yeah.
crawling all
That's
over
wild.
and everywhere. It was a lot.
Oh yeah. So then the trash guys find the comic on the street, because we're back to the frame story now.
Mm-hmm.
One of the garbage men keeps it, and the other one's Tom Savini, who did the makeup effects. Yay! Hey Tom. Yeah, he had roles in Dawn of the Dead. He's been in movies before. He's in
It's
From
like
Dusk Till
little
Dawn.
cameos.
Yeah, he plays Sex Machine in From Dusk Till Dawn, if you remember that movie or if
Okay.
you've seen that one at all. And so they mention that someone sent in for the voodoo doll because they're looking at like the ads, like they mentioned
Yeah,
the
the
kicking Santa face.
clippings out of it.
Yeah, and then so Joe Hill's dad's yelling for him, and he has a pain in his neck. And then we see Joe stabbing the voodoo doll as he smiles.
He has this like creepy child little smile just down perfectly. You want another shot, Dad?
Oh my gosh, I'm just like,
That'll teach you to
dude.
throw away my comic books. It's just so.
I'm like, you're murdering your dad, dude. Like,
And he is like not. It's not like a little prick. Like he's like stabbing.
I'm just like, dude. Like, I'm just like, that's not like causing a little pain. That's like, yeah. So then we see the creep looking very much like the Red Skull holding the comic, and then we cut to the credits, and it was a fun anthology, a little bit scattered, but good variety.
I've always enjoyed the Creepshow.
Fun makeup effects, campy performances, overall good time. I'm not mad at watching it again.
I agree. I am happy that this one had 5 shorts in it, which we'll get to on Creepshow 2, which only has 3. I enjoyed them a little bit more, even though I think you can go into further detail, obviously, with the shorts being a little bit longer in Creepshow 2.
Yeah, but next time we get Roger Corman, and he's all about being cheap.
Well,
And so I think you would have
can,
diminishing returns if you had 5.
You can tell. I mean, I think Creepshow 1 is far superior than Creepshow 2, but anyway, not trying to get into all of it.
So let's find out, will the sequel hold up?
Yes.
Let's find out. Well, I promised a Creepshow 2 story.
Uh-oh.
And like Children of the Corn and some other horror movies, I saw ports of all of them way, way too young. Now, I don't remember if Creepshow 2 was playing on TV or what, but I have the image of the guy cut. I thought he was cut from like head to groin for some reason. Like when he got axed by Chief Woodenhead when he was on the hood of his car. Like I thought it was like sliced like all down his front.
Like Rumpelstiltskin style type.
Rumpelstiltskin style.
Yeah, Rumpelstiltskin. He splits in half.
I don't remember that.
Oh, well.
Cool. I never saw that movie. I mean, there's an older Rumpelstiltskin movie, but I never saw it. Anyway, so I have that image of him on the hood of his Firebird, like seared into my brain.
Yeah.
And then as the garage door comes down, and then most of the raft, which, oh my gosh, like
Raft seared into my mind.
Yeah, which made me fear small bodies of water for a long, long time. And that guy's ring getting stuck in like the slats, like just stuck with me.
Oh,
like,
see, mine was the head. Her head being turned in it.
Oh. No, that didn't. So we open with New World Pictures. Uh-oh, Roger Corman cheapie, as we mentioned. Yeah. So we are in some kind of small town, downtown area where it's raining.
Well, and it's weird because at first it looks like it's going to be a better quality. Like when you open it up, you're just like, okay, I feel it. I understand. And then the moment that you see the creep.
Well, we have a truck that looks like an old military transport coming in, like from like World War II. It has main license plates, which, yay, Stephen King. All right, that read creep. And I'm like, all right, I'm not mad. And then something is laughing a lot. And the back of the truck opens to reveal a guy who looks a lot like the Leprechaun, a bit.
Yes.
So I'm super surprised this new kid, Billy, also Joe Hill's name in the first movie,
But it's not Joe
isn't
Hill.
running screaming.
No, he's just
I'm like-
patiently waiting.
And so the creep makes a comment with the kid acting like his life depended on getting the latest issue or whatever the creep has on the truck, which I'm just like, and he's just like, uh-huh. And I'm just like, what is happening? So the creep throws a wrapped bundle on the ground in front of the kid. He does some weird, magic
which is
hands.
Weird.
And like an hour later, like it cuts to the bundle and it's like, yes, you did the magic hands. What's going to happen? And then finally the bundle dissolves into animation where flying demon creatures unwrap it. I'm like, you couldn't even do like some slow, like stop motion, reverse motion, like of it untying itself. Like,
I don't know.
it's just pathetic.
And part of me, so the overarching story in this is mainly in characters. Like it's drawn out. It's in a cartoon
animation,
style.
yeah.
It's animation.
Cheap 80s animation, the cheapest. Cheapest.
Which at first I was like, okay, so they're doing this the way they can do some really cool effects. Some like really cool ghouls or goblins or something, whatever, that they couldn't do in real life.
They did it so they could do it cheaply.
Which, yes.
They couldn't afford what they do in this movie in real life.
Yes, but there are some parts that they could have, and I feel like it ruins it a little bit with it all being animated instead of there being some form of little kid Joe Hill stabbing his dad. Like, that's the creepy factor. The fact that you see this like little innocent boy like stabbing this voodoo doll or talking to his dad or like.
I think they're hoping you'll remember that and be like, remember, this is a real little kid, okay, guys?
But it's not.
I know.
It's that. Like from the get-go, right when they changed it, I was already just attacked.
Boo! Yeah, I hear you. And the animation, okay, it's not the cheapest animation. The cheapest animation would basically be like still frames dissolving into another still frame, dissolving into another still frame. This is at least completely animated, but
it's still not.
It's not great.
Best quality.
Yeah, no. And so, oh man, I saw Stephen King's name in the cast credits, which I was like, uh-oh, what's he going to play in this movie? I forgot to look for him.
I know where he is.
Okay,
yep.
cool.
I
I'll
know
look forward to hearing that. So now Berger of K&B Effects, which I forget all the guys in that, Nicotero, Kurtzman, I think, and Berger, they've done a lot of legendary stuff.
Oh, okay.
And Kurtzman, I think, Nicotero went on to be heavily involved with the Walking Dead TV show, doing the effects and directing. Like, he got a lot of directing work on there. And the Creepshow TV show that's on Shudder, he also directed some episodes of that.
Have you seen?
I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah. So, K&B Effects, legendary. They only have one of the guys. So I'm not really psyched, but at least I know somebody who knows what they're doing is involved. So that's good. That made me happy. So anyway, the score, not a good thing.
No.
Woof. Oh my gosh, this score, I mean, just run for the hills. Like, I don't know. There's more than one guy who did music for this movie, too. I'm just like, what happened?
I just remember,
What happened?
like wisping sounds when you go to the general store. It wasn't very good.
Oh my gosh, the music.
Yeah.
So George Romero's on screenwriting duties. And so now we're looking at a haunted-looking castle, and an animated creep is talking to us, and he looks more like the leprechaun guy instead of the crypt keeper, which really bummed me out. What happened? I don't know if like EC Comics was like,
I have in my notes, Lucifer is so much better than the creep.
Oh, anything's better than the creep, but yeah, we
So
love
much
Lucifer.
better.
I mean, he's our crypt keeper, you know. But he's not a crypt keeper because we don't want to get sued, you know. He's Lucifer.
He's Lucifer.
He's our own guy.
Yeah.
But anyway, it looks like a cheap 80s cartoon. And we finally get to segment 1, Old Chief Woodenhead. So racist. Anyway, okay. It just hurts. But anyway, so this old guy runs a general store in a town that's basically dying. It's a dusty, small town.
Ray and Martha, they are every person's grandparents. They own this.
I didn't even catch the names. Like,
Yeah,
I caught Martha.
Ray,
Why'd you say that name?
Ray and Martha. They are literally everybody's grandparents. They are just this wholesome couple who have owned this general store for years upon years, throughout the flourish of the town, throughout the town.
They helped pay their kids' way through college.
Yeah, and now it's all run down, and you hear Martha she's not berating Ray, but she is telling Ray, like, your kindness is going to catch up to you. Like, kindness doesn't pay the bills.
Well, because I think he's been extending a lot of credit.
Yeah.
He's been probably giving stuff away or not charging enough for things.
She said it was like 4 days since he had a cash deal and 14 weeks or something like that since he had a credit card deal. Like, he's pretty much just giving things away. And he makes note of it, which I love Ray.
He's done so well for themselves. He wants to give back.
Yeah, he's a decent man. And he was like, the whole town came to our store when it was profitable, and we took their money happily, and now they need us. I want to give back to them. I want to show them that they invested their money in a good way.
He's like the best dude in any movie ever.
Know,
I'm like, oh my gosh, like,
and
you're awesome, man.
You kind of start to feel Martha getting kind of huffy but she's getting huffy because she wants him to live his life. She said that he feels like
you need to retire, you need to enjoy the rest of your life.
Yeah, so it's coming from a good place. It's like her.
Like, she's not saying your goodness is bad. It's just like, dude, like, eventually we're gonna have nothing, and you'll
people
die
are,
with nothing.
People are gonna be takers, and nobody like. She's kind of trying to say that nobody really cares about you. You're caring about all these people. They don't care about you. You are giving, and they're just going to keep taking and taking and taking until you have nothing.
But that's just who he
still
is.
Does it,
it's
yeah.
who he is.
He's just like, that's what makes me happy, darling.
Right.
This and good old Chief Woodenhead right here.
Yeah, so he has a cigar store, Native American statue out front that he lovingly touches up with some paint.
And I love it. He's so caring even to a statue.
It's
and
so racist, though.
No, he's not. But that
I
statue's
know.
been there for years.
I know.
And it's on a reservation. I don't think they're trying to be racist.
I
think it was trying to be like
know.
welcoming to the people on the reservation, which he is.
He's respectful to the statue.
He's
not.
respectful to the
It's not.
statue.
He's respectful to his Native American,
To Benjamin,
people there. Yeah,
who
Benjamin
is-
comes up. Yeah,
yeah.
Logan Murray. And they say like here he is in his limousine. And I'm like, so is he like a wealthy dude? Like he's got a nice suit.
I don't know. So they have Benjamin, who is. They called him Benjamin White Moon. I don't know if he is the chief of the tribe, but he's obviously like the spokesperson.
He's like their
of
spokesperson.
the tribe.
Yeah.
But I love how he is across the street, and Martha and Ray are watching him, and Martha's like, "Oh yeah, he's getting a limousine ride." And he gets in the back seat, and he literally does a half circle U-turn, and then stops the car and pulls up to the general store.
I didn't quite catch all that.
He's too good at walking across the street.
I don't know.
They put him in a car to do a half circle and drive over to the store. But anyway, Benjamin White Moon comes out, and he ends up talking to Martha and Ray.
Yeah.
And
it's just like, because like a lot of his people owe a ton of money to him, and he doesn't like that. So he's brought jewelry that is cherished by his people to hold them as collateral until they're able to pay their debts. Because, and the shop owner, he tries to give it back. He's like, I don't need this. And Benjamin explains that he will allow his people to still have pride, since they're now borrowers, not beggars.
Not beggars.
Like, look, this is temporary. Give us 2 autumns to pay this. If not, these are all yours. You can sell them, do what you want with them. Yeah, like they're worth, I guess, $10,000.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to be just beggars. We want to. This is not what we're looking to have. We want to.
Yeah.
We're just borrowing the money for now.
We still
We're
want to
gonna pay you
have
back.
pride. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is Martha's kind of like turning point, which is the only part in the score where I remember it was like cheesy Hallmark movie thing, like
I don't know.
twinkle light noises.
I think I actively tried to cancel it out.
And Martha comes up, she goes, Benjamin, I was just telling Ray how I have no hope in anybody, but you turned it all around. And she pretty much was giving him like a pat on the back. So
I think she appreciated that finally someone is trying to stand up and offer something for everything that they've put out for the community.
It's one of those things like
acknowledging the fact that we have leveraged ourselves for you. Thank you for acknowledging that and leveraging part of yourselves for us.
Yep.
And that means a lot.
Yeah. And she did a good job at like telling him in a very nice, polite way without making him feel little. Like she boosted up his pride a little bit more.
She understood what he's trying to do, and that this is a great thing you're doing. Thank you. It means a lot to me as someone who is worried about our finances.
Yeah.
And I understand that my spouse doesn't really care. He just wants to help people, which is great. But like we want to make sure that this is a more equal footing transaction.
They are everyday grandparents. I want them to be my grandparents. They're so sweet. They're the sweetest little couple in the entire world.
So they must die.
It makes me want to punch Sam Whitemoon in the face.
Yeah, so Benjamin's son Sam and his friends rob him at gunpoint. The fat friend has a laugh like the one gang member in RoboCop, so I'm like, instantly kill this dude. Kill him now. Kill him fast. So Sam wants to be a movie star, and he loves his hair.
He has some luscious black hair.
I wonder. So that's probably going to come back. So one of his friends is rich and has a Firebird. And so Sam demands the jewelry given to the shop owner. Shop owner protests, Ray or whatever protests, and Sam accidentally shoots and kills Martha, who he's holding at gunpoint. And then he kills this shop owner on purpose. Martha was an accident. Ray was on purpose.
Well, yeah, the guy was holding Ray and like trying to get the jewelry, and Ray told Benjamin over his
guard it
dead
with his
body.
life.
Like,
Yeah, I'll guard this with my life.
Yeah, he will guard this jewelry with his life. And the other guy, the fat guy, which I hate saying that, but they never say his name. They just call him
He's not a character.
Fat
He's
Boy.
a fat friend.
Yeah,
he's the fat friend. Sadly.
but he's like holding.
Sorry,
he's like
dude.
holding Ray, and Ray's trying to speak sense to Sam. Like, this is your ancestors, and this is like the
This is everything
heritage
your
from
people
your
have.
people.
Like, this
They're
is-
giving it to why don't take it. I told Benjamin that I wouldn't. And Martha's wiggling, trying to get to Ray, like, stop it, you're pushing him. And I think her wiggling is what causes Sam to pull the trigger.
But he
the shotgun's at the
he
side.
accidentally pulls it. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things
But
where it
it
doesn't excuse it. It's just he did
No.
not mean to kill her.
But
And
she does this like dramatic, slow.
she
just-
falls for an hour.
her face slowly drops, and I could just see poor Ray. Like I said, it was like watching my grandparents.
Well, then he's shuffling forward like
Yeah, Ray's
like
trying
not
to
like he doesn't like
get
he
to
should
her.
have like rushed forward and then gotten killed. Instead, it was like I'm gonna slowly Martha. I'm just like, dude.
Well, I think everyone was kind of shocked, like, what was happening? But you are right. I
Yeah.
would have ran. Well, and then Sam shoots him purposefully.
Right.
And he still tries to walk forward until
Right.
he falls down. But it's just so sad.
He doesn't make it to her, which I'm just like, dude,
No,
you
I
need to like touch her
know.
hand one last time.
I
Like,
know.
oh, it sucks so
It is-
bad.
That's the type of like those deaths in movies that did not need to happen. That to like the sweetest people.
Oh, yeah.
It just
It-
it got me so much more.
It sucks hard. So they take the jewelry and leave, but not before shooting the statue out front. And now the statue is alive.
Well, he missed the statue.
I thought he hit it.
He hit the red paint can. It pinged off, which
Oh,
I thought was
I thought
funny.
you saw the like hit the shoulder. I thought there was a bullet hit on the shoulder.
I thought it did too, because I thought that you see some dust, but you literally hear the ping and then you see the paint knock over, and he only
thought
fires
the-
once towards it. So.
I know, but I thought maybe there was a ricochet and it hit the
Maybe.
paint or something like that,
Maybe.
or it shook the. It looked like it shook the statue and that knocked over the paint.
But he shot towards the store and the statue, and Chief Woodenhead knows. He sees all. He
Yeah.
knows what's going on.
He puts on the war paint, lets out a war cry,
This whole scene.
opens
of
his
him.
eyes, and it's like, oh my gosh.
And then he howls.
Yeah,
Like
well,
a
because
wolf?
Sam did. Sam shot it before he went in the car,
I
so it's
didn't
kind
even
of like
catch that.
almost an imitation.
I
like,
just saw him dip his hand, which the movement of this, I mean, it is so slow, but he is a wooden statue.
I have no idea exactly what they're if that was
Like doing this,
so
and then
if
he
that was
just-
a person or like if they were trying they had like a mannequin style thing and they were
I don't
puppeting it.
know.
I don't know. Either way, it was kind of cheesy and weird.
I thought it was good. I was like, he's wooden, like he's
It looks
wood,
it looks
you know?
good
look
enough.
Like a
It looks
wooden
good enough.
person.
Thankfully, they didn't try to show too much of him actually like attacking.
It's true. They
'Cause
did
that
a
would've
really
been very
good.
bad.
They did really cool workarounds. So
Yeah,
I'll
because the
give them
fat
that.
friend is in his trailer and he winds up getting shot up with some arrows, and there's some pretty good blood hits
Yeah.
on that. It was effective. And then he comes for the rich friend who's watching a show or movie with Pancho and Cisco, which I'd listened to the story, The Raft, before this. And so Pancho,
Yeah.
Cisco, which I'm
Yeah.
just like, and I thought that was a reference kind of to that.
That was a good touch. But
Yeah.
his parents and the rich kid's parents just are oblivious to everything he does.
Now, Rich, this house is like a middle class,
It's
like
true.
ranch, like. But in a town like this, that's obviously
Yeah.
you're the only one that has any money, because And
But
so,
I love the fact that he's like sneaking down the hallway, not wanting his parents. You can see down like it's almost like a shotgun hallway,
Right.
Where you can see his parents at the very end watching TV, and he's trying to sneak, and then he hears glass breaking, and the glass breaking is really loud, and that's not disturbing his parents, but he's still
No.
trying to sneak, which I was just
Right.
like, stop sneaking! They obviously don't care. Like, why are you trying to tiptoe?
I didn't even notice his parents there, because basically, oh yeah, no, that's a different house. Okay, yeah, I didn't notice the parents, because yeah, he when does he? Is he out in the garage when he gets?
No, yeah. So like he's sneaking down the hall, like he's sneaking
Right.
back in, and his parents don't care. And then he hears this glass shattering, and it's in a door. And at first I thought like, oh, someone's breaking into his bedroom.
Right.
But no, he opens it up, and it's the garage, and there's just the car is smashed up
Oh,
to
the car is
smithereens, and
smashed,
there's
yeah.
dents and everything. And this is where they do the cool trick with the camera, where he closes the door and you just see the shadow
With the axe or the tomahawk or something. Yeah.
of Chief Woodenhead.
Did he really
and
bob
the-
like this? Boop, boop,
Yeah, he
like he's on-
did. He
he's on a
kind of does.
stick?
Like he like bobs and walks
someone's
up.
like in
and
front of
he's
the camera.
got like the
Like a shot.
axe ahead of him. And
That's
then
really funny.
you
Yeah,
just see him,
hacks him
like,
and then blood splatters on the wall.
"Cha."
Like I'd never seen blood splatter on a wall like
Oh,
that when I was
man.
that age. And then like seeing him splayed out on his Firebird,
Yeah,
just
it was
sliced
dented
open.
down.
Like, oh
But
my
I
gosh.
didn't see the slice open. I just saw an axe in the center.
As a
of
kid,
his
I thought it
chest.
was like his face
But
was
I-
cut open and like all the way.
I might not have been looking very hard either. So, because you know what I mean. I just saw.
As a
an
kid,
axe.
I just saw like everything. I'd never seen
Well,
anything
and as
makeup
a
effects
kid,
like
your
that.
imagination kind of runs
Oh my
wild
gosh!
too.
Like it was, and then the garage door closes mercifully. I just was like, oh
and
my
then you
gosh.
see the statue again, the shadow just. walk away on the garage.
On a steak. Anyway, and then he goes to Sam, the last guy, and winds up scalping him, which was pretty gnarly and ironic.
In this one, so Sam hears him coming, and you see him coming through the front door, and he has a gun, and he's shooting him, and it doesn't work because obviously he's made of wood.
Yeah.
But I did think it was a really cool effect to where Sam's looking right at him though, and he's like, "You can't come in here," and then somehow the chief punches through the wall.
RoboCop style.
Yeah, on the side, and pulls him through the wall.
And then has the knife and starts to come down, and we cut.
Which, I mean,
to the next day.
If you love your luscious hair and you talk about it all the time, what do you think's going to happen?
Someone's going to get scalped.
Yeah.
And so, the next day, Benjamin arrives at the store to find Chief Woodenhead with a scalp in his hand. And I guess Benjamin already knew the shop owner was dead since he said now his spirit can rest? Or was he saying the spirit in the statue can rest?
I think he was saying the spirit in the statue. Well, he wakes up, and you see him waking up in this kind of strange bed, which is kind of alluding to, is he writ or I don't know. Anyway. And he has the jewelry on the side of him. So Chief Woodenhead, the statue, must have given him back the jewelry.
Oh, I didn't notice the jewelry pouch. I'm
Yeah,
where
the
is the jewelry pouch?
was right by him laying down in
Okay.
bed. So he sees it, and he's like, wait, what? So then he goes to the general store, and I'm sure he sees it all in disarray. But yeah, he walks up, and there's just the blood still dripping from the scalp.
I don't understand how he knew what happened, but...
Yeah, I still don't... He didn't walk into the store and see Ray and Martha dead or anything like that. But yeah, I think he's telling the statue, because he's saying, rest easy, warrior. And the warrior paint is fresh on his face.
Right.
So... I don't know if he...
Does he know his son's dead?
Well, but then again also... Oh, it was his nephew. They said his nephew.
Oh, his nephew. I thought it was his son.
No, they said nephew.
My bad.
Nephews are less important than sons.
Been corrected. I was like, why are you not broken up that that's your son?
No.
Or whatever. Okay, his nephew.
But in the very beginning, when the chief is walking away from the first time, right after he talks to Ray and Martha, he walks away and he looks at the statue and he says something like, looking good, Chief Wood. He's the first one and the only one that calls him Chief Woodenhead.
Yeah, he actually namastays the statue kind of thing. I'm just it's a statue, dude.
He's like, looking good, Chief Woodenhead, and it kind of moves. You can see the statue move towards him, and Benjamin sort of looks at it like,
But Benjamin,
what?
genuflex, kind of thing. I'm like, dude, these statues are in front of, cigarettes.
It's true. It's true.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, it's not like it's commemorating, an actual native warrior or something, but... Okay. I don't know. It was a thing. So that's over. So we go back to the frame story, and Billy's picking up a package he ordered from the Creepshow magazine or comic, and it was a Venus flytrap.
Yes.
They ate meat. Just hungry.
And
Anyway.
I thought it was really cheesy the fact that he's at the mailman or whatever. He's at the post office.
It was a COD, it's cash on delivery, which I'm like, who does that?
Yeah, and this guy is talking to this kid or whatever, and then it just goes around the corner and he ends up being the creep. And I was just they're making the creep be random people in the town now, and I don't know. It's just could have done something better, but oh well, it's the overarching story.
Yeah. So now we get to segment 2, the raft. And so we got a bunch of college kids heading out to a lake to swim out to a raft. That sounds normal. So Randy sees a bird get attacked by this floating trash bag and sees it coming over their way.
I don't know how you call it the floating trash bag.
Well, a podcast I listened to reviewed this movie, and it just stuck in my head that it's why are we supposed to be scared of a hefty bag in the water?
It did kind of look like a pool cover to me,
just
floating through the water.
When I was a kid, it was the scariest thing I'd ever seen in my life, and now watching it, all I could think of is trash bags on strings being pulled around the lake, and I'm just
Jesse, some of the most mundane, not scary things are the scariest things in the world. Trash bags can be scary.
Sure. So all 4 of these kids get onto a raft, raft right before this trash bag thing floats, against the raft. Anyway, we have Ghostbuster synths, the woo, from the beginning, it's just. I don't know what they're doing with the score, but I hate every note. But anyway, so Rachel, one of the 2 girls, tries to touch it, and she gets eaten, and it's kind of gross and interesting. And
well, it's weird too because she's slowly moving her hand on it. And at first she can touch it and she doesn't scream, which is weird to me. Like
I wasn't sure she got her
her
hand all the way down. I was taking notes, I think, and I didn't notice if she'd actually touch it. Because I
Yeah.
thought it kind of just leapt up and grabbed her hand.
Well, it does at first, but like she touch it and you can, I don't know if maybe it was an oopsie and they accidentally caught it on camera, but like some slime like sticks to her finger. And I was just like, oh, she's not yelling yet. And then she looks up and then it like Spider-Man webs shoots her hand.
Okay.
And she starts just screaming, bloody murder.
And it's like, because her hand's like dissolving. It's a
yeah,
pretty
it
good
looks like
effect.
it's like
decent.
melting off.
Yeah, it was actually, some of these like were pretty good. Like good flesh eating effects. The trash bag sucked, for lack of a better word. But the actual effects of it, like eating like the flesh, like is pretty gnarly.
It was pretty decent. And then, but somehow she like gets sucked all the way into this blob.
She gets
trash
pulled
bag.
in, yeah. I get that she's pulled in by the tendrils.
And Randy's like trying to get at her.
He wants to run to her and jump in, but
I don't know what his name
buddy
is.
Deke is like, don't you get it? She's already dead.
Yeah, and
I'm like,
he
she's
seems
still
so
moving.
He
Like,
seems so nonchalant about it. Like not Randy, but Deke does. Like he's just like, oh, whatever. It's not Laverne over here. Like I don't know. It was kind of weird. And like literally, Rachel is in this blob, just slowly melting down, screaming it hurts.
yeah.
And then it's just okay. Well, she died. So let's try and figure this out, guys.
Well, what do you think? Brunch?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
I guess she wasn't that good of a friend.
I guess not. And so Deke decides he's going to try to go for it. I'm fast. When it goes under the raft because he thinks he's going to have time. But it grabs and pulls him through the boards, which was so gnarly. I mean, the image of that was just seared into my brain when I was like 8 or 9.
Well, it almost makes me whenever like I go on one of those floating decks now, I never step on a crack.
Sure.
Ever, because of this.
Oh, yeah.
The blob can go in between the little slats of the wood on the raft.
And just his
And
leg
just-
cracking and going up was just like, oh, dude.
Now, also, when we say raft, just so you know, because I know when I was thinking this, I was thinking
I mean, I'll have
white
clips,
water
but yeah.
rafting.
No,
it's like one of those floating
platforms
decks.
like to dive off of in the middle of the lake or whatever.
Yeah,
In the story, they mentioned that it was like a diving board that would be attached to it or something.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
It's literally like a floating deck.
Yeah.
And
It's a place to rest, like after you swim out there, like, so you
sunbathe or do whatever on there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And
not very big to allow for that,
But the blob, it was so cool how they did it. Like, kept sucking up through these little slats, and it wouldn't flatten out over the board.
They're just shoving paper or trash bags through the
It
slats.
looked like slime, yeah. And they were like,
or whatever it was.
like ooze.
I can almost see the PAs underneath. Like, how's it look up there, guys? Does it look undulating?
It was so gross looking, though. It does have that effect of like.
I'll get you a coffee when the shot's done, okay? Sorry, it's just so sad.
It is.
It's so sad.
But the effect, you are right, of him grabbing, of like him, I'm saying the blob is, I just personified the blob. The bags or whatever. Like they go up and they get Deke's leg, and it is cool. They do like a Spider-Man thing though.
Yeah, the flesh eating is the best part of like seeing like the makeup of all that is pretty good. And then like his hand going, like being sucked back through the slats and the ring not being able to go through and coming off his finger is.
Which is so weird to me because they pull him down a hole.
It broke a hole,
They broke a hole in the deck, which you don't hear about ever again. And it looks like it's miraculously repaired.
I mean, Romero is faithful to King. And so when he wrote the screenplay, he wanted to make it as faithful as possible. I mean, Deke is wearing the bikini briefs.
It's true.
Okay? I mean, that's how faithful George Romero was. Like it said he was wearing bikini briefs. Deke put the man in bikini briefs. And his ring better,
it's true. That is exactly like the story. But he fell through a giant hole, so why would his hand go through a
It was
slat
in the
and
story,
rest of him
Leah.
go
It
through a
was
hole?
in the story.
I will say, though, they did a really good job at, like, his leg bending up and, like, going down
It was pretty
parallel
good.
with his body. That
was pretty good. I mean, it was gnarly and terrifying to a 9-year-old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kudos.
Yep. So the trash bags basically tell Randy to assault Laverne.
Yeah, that part is literally, this is the part that I was saying at the very
he's looking
beginning.
at the trash bags and he's just, what, you want me to do this?
Well, they like have this weird, you sleep and you watch the trash bag and you stand on the slats.
Yeah, so it's like, and they go there all night and the next day.
They alternate. And then, then he's supposed to be the one that's watching, but then he, like, gets a wild hair and starts to, like lay Laverne down.
And I'm just like, what is happening? Because
it's
and the story goes another direction, but it's
But she's sleeping.
I know,
in
it's
the
not,
movie, and
in the story it's consensual.
Yes.
Whereas in this movie, it's like, dude,
he's
what?
just I don't know if
Taking
it's like
advantage of her. Basically, I mean, he's assaulting her, and I'm not happy about this.
no, it's seriously, it's so
I'd rather he
cringy.
I'd rather he throws her in the water to her death to try to make it versus like I'm going to randomly just assault you here because I feel like it for no reason.
And they didn't have to do that. So I feel like the whole setup was so that her head was right between the slats, and then the blob
Right, because the blob
whatever
gets her
can get her because her face is between
But he
the
didn't
slats.
mean to do it that.
No,
that was not what he's trying to do.
That's what I mean. So like, I don't know if they were trying to set up for her face that way they could
No,
get
it
that.
was,
cool
'cause, like,
But you don't need to do all of that beforehand.
No, it was so.
It was
dude,
so weird,
Like,
and,
what are you doing?
This is going to make me sound horrible, but there are so many horrific scenes such as this in other movies that aren't as cringy as this one. I don't know if it's the sound. I don't know if it's the kid like doing.
The only thing where I was not just like crawling out of my skin completely was that like, okay, he's staring at this thing, and they don't do a good job in the movie of making it of this, but like in the story, it's like this thing, you see colors in it, and it like calls you to it.
Yeah.
And like I was like, okay, maybe it's like saying, lay her down.
Yeah, like
why don't you enjoy touching her or something? While she's asleep, and so it's like hypnotized him to do something he would normally not do because it wants her to be on the slats.
Potentially, but if that's what they were trying to portray,
They should have had like voices or like a whoosh, 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 like some kind of sound of like it's talking to him, like cutting from his eyes, staring at it, and then like
there's like barely any sound.
No,
it's just him like
laying her down
touching
and touching
her
her,
while
and
she's
it's just
sleeping,
and she's like kind of like cringing away and like no,
she's
and
like making these weird noises, and
just
that's
like,
when I'm thinking maybe the blob was already on her, and she like wasn't fully awake yet, so she was making
I think she's asleep, and she's like she like I don't know, like her dream is like something's touching her, and she doesn't want like that because like she pulls her sweater down just in time to have her face being eaten off.
Yeah.
And
it's just so, and then while the blob is eating her,
he makes a run for it.
That's when Randy decides to swim and make a run for it.
And he makes it.
This is the slowest swimmer in the world, by the way. And if you're swimming away from something, don't stop and turn back around.
Yeah, this is the thing where you never turn around.
You just go full bore until you reach safety. And once you reach safety, learn from poor Randy's
all
mistake.
the way.
Go
all
into the
the way.
car. All the way up the beach.
No, just forget the car.
Run.
Just go.
I would have gone in the car because it was already turned on. It was still on playing the radio. It wasn't even.
I was waiting for I was waiting for the music to die, and then like the car won't start.
Yeah,
or
like
something.
right when it got in the car. Yeah.
But he's like an inch away from the water,
and he's just like, haha, I got away from you.
I'm faster than you or whatever, and then it makes a giant wave and swallows him up. And so the camera pans over to a no swimming sign, which I'm like, that's dumb because there's a raft, and the whole reason for raft is for swimmers.
Well, and they also said that this place closed down during the summertime, and
it's a swimming hole. It's a lake for swimming.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. Like the no swimming was covered up with a bunch of
it's been no swimming for decades
or whatever. Yeah.
Like. What?
But they also remember the raft from during the summertime when they would all
it's like we were here 3 weeks ago and the raft was still here because it's a summertime hangout swim spot.
So I don't.
It's so stupid. Why'd you do that? Like, is it just we want to be ironic? That's more Alanis Morissette ironic. But even it's just so dumb. It's dumber than that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They could have done something far different than that.
There's no reason for them. Like
even if you went full bore and had like ET extraterrestrial suits walking around or something
like the ha moment would have been is him getting caught by the wave, like it making a wave and eating him. Like that's your like you thought you got away.
Cut
and that's enough.
There.
That's enough. Like the Camaro panning and the Camaro is illustrated or something or have something start playing on the radio, like a news report of just like.
I thought
keep
they were
in mind
play, like,
that the government has closed down whatever lake because of some kind of contamination or something.
Yeah.
And like something like that, like.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the no swimming.
Or it pans back to reveal that they had to go through a gate. Or something was like a warning or something.
Or they let a dam out or something like at the far end.
Anything other than no swimming at a place that's clearly meant for swimming.
It's horrible. That was
a dumb ending.
Yeah.
But anyway, so now we get back to the frame story. So we're back to the cartoon. And so Billies are attacking Billy. They crush the package of the Venus flytrap. and they squish one of the seeds, and so then he kicks the lead bully in the crotch, I guess,
Yep.
and bikes off with the bullies in pursuit.
Yep, bullies are hot now. They are very angry.
I was like, they're hot.
No, I meant lead
I guess
bully.
the one guy had some nice ripped muscles going on.
Love
but
me some animated bullies.
Anyway.
No, they're very upset, so they're running after him.
Yes, they're angry. You wouldn't like them when they're angry. Anyway, so then we get to the last segment, The Hitchhiker, which, as we said, neither of us has any recollection of watching before because it makes no impression. I mean, basically,
falls so short. The only impression that it made was seeing Stephen King in The Hitchhiker.
Wait, what?
He is the trucker that pulls over and he
Oh
has
my gosh.
gained some weight.
I totally did
And-
not recognize. I didn't even see the trucker. I didn't even see the trucker.
Yep, he is the trucker that one guy pulled over after she speeds off,
Right,
and then
and then-
the
I know the
trucker
trucker
lights
pulled
the
over.
flare. That is Stephen King.
Doggone it. I didn't even I mean, I was watching it on my phone and I was just trying to take notes and I was not enamored with the story and the trucker was nothing to me. Because the guy was on his cell phone. I was like, oh my gosh, you have a car phone?
Yeah, recorded car phone.
Yeah. I was like, this is so great. I was so enamored with this 80s tech that I was, yeah. So anyway, we opened with a woman in bed with, I guess, a male prostitute, question mark?
Yeah.
I thought she was having an affair, but I mean, she's paying someone for sex.
She's paying him.
So he wants to be paid enough money to get a Mercedes. He had it on his headboard, which was fun. And then he uses a digital alarm clock to wake up to bird sound.
I know, and she was like, you need to get an analog clock. And I'm just like, oh, if they could only see what goes on today.
I know, right?
Fighting between digital and analog clocks,
Yeah.
everyone.
However, the power went out, so she wound up sleeping too late because I guess she was supposed to. She has to be home at exactly 11:30.
Yep.
Why? We'll never know.
Because, it said that her husband, demands it. Not 11:29, not 11:31, 11:30. He is apparently extremely
I
prompt.
don't understand
What is up with...
what was with this.
What is up with Stephen King having so many prompt people? Was he a prompt guy?
I don't know, but his relationships, I don't understand his relationships. These are not. This is
If
not
I
a
come
thing.
home and I'm off by a minute or two of when I'm usually at home, nothing happens.
I don't understand. I don't know. Are you if you're home a minute too late, you're obviously cheating on me. But if you're home at 11:30, you're not. Because obviously you're paying a prostitute if you're home at 11:31. I mean, is that the gist of this?
I don't know. I have no clue.
You don't have time to cheat if you're home at 11:30. I mean, I don't understand this whole your curfew.
I don't know.
It makes no sense to me.
It doesn't make any
sense. It makes
sense.
no sense to me. The bar's let out at midnight, and I don't want you driving with a bunch of no drivers on the road. I wanted some kind of reason.
Unless maybe he gets home from the club and she's supposed to be home all day. So if she's not home, that means that she went out and she wasn't supposed to.
Or I only party till 11:30, so I expect you to only party till 11:30 because he's home a little after her.
I don't know.
Makes no sense. So she loses control of her car. She's trying to justify why she's going to be late. She's got to drive 20 miles in 7 minutes or something.
She drops her cigarette.
Oh, she drops her cigarette.
Yeah, she drops her cigarette, and she
was oblivious.
swerving. And she went to go reach down, and she somehow is able to swerve and get off an exit perfectly fine.
Right.
And then her car goes wonky.
Fishtails. I guess it's cold because later there's snow, so I guess there's ice on the road on the off ramp. Because I mean, off ramps are dangerous.
Yeah, very dangerous. Yes.
That's where you'll have a wreck. And so that was very realistic, too realistic for me. She loses control of her car. She hits a guy in a yellow raincoat. So I'm like, I know what you did last summer. Oh my gosh, I know what you did last summer. Where's the hook? I was like, it's the yellow slicker and everything.
Yeah,
I was just like,
true.
no way.
But it kind of made the hitchhiker seem like homeless a little bit, disheveled.
I mean, it was so bright and vibrant. The color really popped for me.
Well, she should have seen it, but not even that. She was spinning out of control, so it still
she should have
technically
just
wasn't
stayed there. It was a
her
total
fault.
accident.
That's what I mean. If she would have stayed and called the cops,
convicted of anything. It was there's ice on the thing, and it just. I lost control of my car. I couldn't stop. I wanted to stop. I just
Yeah, if she just would have stayed, but then she has this mental break where she's.
I can't do this.
I can't do this. I
can't go to prison again.
I can't ruin my life for this. I can't do it. And she's literally trying to talk herself out of it. Maybe he's not dead. I don't know if he is dead or not. Because she just pretty much
it happened so
out
fast.
the
He didn't
top
see
part
me.
of her
Like, I'm just like,
body.
what in the world?
And then goes, and then she sees headlights from a car coming, so she just turns her lights off, whips her car around.
Now,
and starts
the
driving
car
away.
is like right there.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally, you hear the car. Like, the car is literally just in
Going
half
around the
half a
turn,
second,
yeah.
it's going to be there. But somehow she's able to fishtail out
She
for like
turns
an hour.
yeah, she turns
and
her
peel
lights
out
off
and
and
turns her lights off and drives.
drives away. But that car thankfully stops.
It does, but the car should have seen her. Like, the car
It's
should
true.
have, like, it was right there. But
It's
anyway, yeah, and then she drives by a truck who she obviously.
The trucker, going the opposite
yeah.
way. Who the trucker stops.
Yeah. And so the
Driven
guy
by
gets out his
Stephen
corded
King.
his car phone, which I'm just like, oh my gosh, car phones. Oh, they're
Yeah.
so great. I mean, that was such a status thing. Anyway, so the guy uses the phone to call the police. I was paying more attention to that. Didn't realize Stephen King was the trucker.
Well, I thought it was funny because like 3 other cars stop. Like the next cars
another
that
woman
drive
who-
past.
a lot of
everyone
looky-loos. A lot of looky-loos,
stops.
yeah.
And everyone's like, is he okay? Or call somebody. And Stephen King lights a flare and like sets it on the road.
Yeah.
So I feel like all these people are caring, and then she's just driving away, and her car has blood all over it and things, and she's like literally using the windshield wiper fluid to wipe the blood off of her.
Yeah,
as she's driving
it's
away.
wild. And so she drives for a while and is eventually attacked by the hitchhiker who keeps saying,
Thanks for the ride.
thanks for the ride. And I'm just like, whoa. And so she gives him a ride as he hangs onto the outside of the car, which that's some fun stunt work.
But before that, I love how she just goes, I'll turn myself in later. I'm just like, what?
I don't know. She's trying to justify stuff. And like, she talks about like, the Mercedes will be new off the lot or whatever. I'm just like, what does that even
she
mean?
Keeps calling herself, like Mrs. Lance or Lansing. I think that was her last. Mrs.
Yeah.
Lansing.
Well, her car's like
4,000
Lansing 2 and his husband's is
yeah.
Lansing 1 on the license plate.
$4,000 in your car will be great. What all did you do? And like she's like literally just talking to herself in like the third person and
Yeah.
It's weird. And then there's a dead hitchhiker
can't
holding
carry
onto
this
her
segment.
car.
Yeah. And she finally knocks him off. Like she drives through the woods like randomly. I keep thinking she's gonna hit trees.
She gets
and
underneath
she narrowly
of a
hits
tree,
trees. She finally
started to
knocks
knock
him
him
off and immediately stops.
Yeah, why
Like immediately stops and hangs out like it's over.
And then you find out she's had a gun in the car the whole time. But like, why would she even try a gun when this guy has been run over multiple times and he still manages to come back? Obviously, something supernatural is going on.
He hasn't been run over. He's been hit. And then he gets hit
that's
off
right.
with the log.
All right.
But then she shoots him, and he runs him over multiple times.
Well, she shoots him 5 or 6 times until there aren't any bullets left. And
Right.
he's still coming at her. And then she kicks him out of her car. Yeah, I will say, applaud to her for doing the double tap. She did her due diligence when it comes to that.
Backed him over, ran him over
Backed
front
him over,
ways,
ran-
back ways. Yeah, she
You know what I mean?
she took care of business. So yeah, so then she, when he appears again, she hits him against the tree, and she essentially completely told her Mercedes.
Just rams it over and over again.
And
While
she
she's like smiling, like happy about it.
I have no clue. I think she's gone mental at this point, to a degree, and she basically knocks herself out doing that,
Yeah.
and destroys her car, and she's passed out. She wakes up. It's snowed, and the car still drives.
And the car's still on.
She turns it on. She actually she turns the key, and I'm
I
like,
didn't hear
this
that.
car ain't starting, lady, and it does. I'm
I
like,
just saw the windshield wipers,
wow,
and I was
this is like almost a Mercedes commercial.
I was like, is this car just still on this entire time?
So she gets home to her mansion, and there's blood all over the car, the hood, the roof.
Well,
like
you can tell that she's trying to make herself think that it was all just a dream. She just ran off the road. She knocked
Right.
herself out. Something happened. Like none of it happened. You can tell she's like thinking about that. I guess I don't think she ever actually says anything.
Now I do appreciate that this last attack, that it's basically just this lump of red with a head and like arms like, at this point, because she's just totally decimated this guy. And she's like, one more time, and it looks like, I guess she died of carbon monoxide poisoning because her car's running, the garage door closes.
But then you get that epic fog again.
Yes.
So like, but the fog's going on while the garage door's closing. So I was like, is that like?
I thought it was her exhaust. I think it was implying that her exhaust is
I thought
going.
it was like supernatural beings supposed to be like only.
Well, like the last
turn
one, it
into
was like the
mist.
red light with like the crazy background kind of thing, like the comic background, like, and then you see like it goes comic kind of thing. Whereas this one, it's like fog everywhere. But the last one had fog too, though.
Yeah, true.
But so anyway,
yeah,
the husband shows up.
Well, the hitchhiker I love was like underneath her car the entire time, still hiking a ride or hitching a ride.
Yeah, I guess.
But
Yeah.
he
So,
got
yes.
multiple free rides. I mean, hey.
I guess so. And she's wearing the hitchhiker's Dover sign around her neck. But she wants to go to Dover. I feel bad for the hitchhiker.
Well, and also
He got killed trying to hitchhike to Dover.
But also, how did he, like, so I guess it had to have been carbon monoxide poisoning, because this is one of the only kills where, like, it's not very bloody. He was bloody. The hitchhiker himself was bloody.
The car's bloody.
The car was bloody, but she wasn't. She was just sitting there, but her eyes
It
were
looked like he
open.
had a hand on her neck, so he was choking her, I
okay.
think. So he strangled her. So he got his due,
I don't know.
his revenge. But she also, there's carbon monoxide, so it could just be that, yeah.
Yeah, the one time that her husband's late.
I guess, or something like that. Or like, you need to be home so you can nuke me some pizza rolls when I get home at 11:30 or something. I don't know.
I don't know either.
So then we get back to the frame story because, man, we got to catch up with Billy. So the bullies are catching up to Billy, but then giant Venus flytraps eat the bullies as Billy creepily looks on.
In multiple Venus flytraps.
4 of them, I think.
The bully just squashed one, and I thought there
And
was
somehow
only
he
one
already
in the
had,
box.
so I guess he's ordered them more than once, and he already has like a garden full of them
And
that
he
he's
planted them in a place that says, like, no trespassing, do not enter, that has a weird clearing. Enough for bullies to encircle him, and for the Venus flytraps to encircle them.
And I guess they know Billy.
Eat the children?
Yeah, they all get eaten up. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. And then we cut back to live action, of course, because the creep needs to throw some creep shows out of the back of his truck as it dries off and credits roll. Man, he's a litter bug. He's just like, whee! He's throwing those creep shows.
I kept watching it because it never faded to black at first. So I was just watching it, and I'm like, nope, he actually is still throwing.
He's gonna drive
stuff,
all the way.
literally, and you can still see like an arm and flutter like all the way down the road. I'm like, they literally
I was like,
had
is
this,
he? But I'm really not gonna put my phone like this to
they
like
had this
make
guy
sure.
all the
I saw
way
the truck
down.
still driving,
Yeah,
but
he's still throwing stuff, and then I don't know if you saw the end credit.
yes,
Sequence.
I got the
Good.
yeah. So
you read it.
the end credits end with a quote from a 1949 issues of Collier's magazine, because as we know in the first movie, the dad is like, comic books are trash. I can't believe you're reading this garbage. And there's the whole comic book scare of like the 40s or 50s of just like these EC horror comics, like Tales from the Crypt back then, of like all the parents being scared that these were ruining their children and making society bad, that these are what the problem was. Like video games today,
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah, and so the quote from Collier's magazine, 1949 no less, which I feel like was a little bit before the comic book panic was really in vogue. So juvenile delinquency is the product of pent-up frustrations, stored-up resentments, and bottled-up fears. It's not the product of cartoons and captions, but the comics are a handy, obvious, uncomplicated scapegoat. If the adults who crusade against them would only get as steamed up over such basic causes of delinquency as parental ignorance, indifference, and cruelty, they might discover that comic books are no more a menace than Treasure Island or Jack the Giant Killer. Oh my God!
Round of applause.
Like this quote needs to be more widely known, like and acknowledged. Of just like this is what it's about, guys. Like, yeah, I mean,
people, they're still reading. It's still an imaginative outlet. Like, what do you expect?
it's not.
You
Yeah,
expect people to read these books and like transport them to another world, but the fact that there's pictures there to help them along with
because I mean, usually
transporting
people
themselves.
who have loving relationships with family and friends tend not to be juvenile delinquents.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's like instead of like comics, you can insert video games, music, movies, like
There's
all
always
this stuff.
something that's apparently changing our youth and is
But it's so
going-
easy to just blame anything other
And-
than like oneself or
blame an inanimate
yeah.
object
Right.
into doing like
Yeah.
I don't understand.
So this quote's actually like the best thing in the movie.
Yeah,
I-
no, it's wonderful.
I think it's a great way to end it. Yeah, because basically EC Comics were heavily attacked back in the 50s. So it's interesting to see the quote from Forbes, because basically it led to the comic book code, which basically meant nothing fun could be in comics anymore.
No.
And so then comics really were bad until the 80s. And not bad in the way that they thought they were bad, just basically just so milquetoast
Yeah.
and whatever. I'm sure there were good comics in there here and there, but it's like comparing the Adam West Batman to like Burton's Batman. Like Adam West Batman is basically what comics had to become. And then we had to get to the 80s where it was like, forget this comic book code. We're going to make like great comics again. And then we get, Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller, all that kind of stuff. And we get 89 Tim Burton Batman, and we're back on track.
I did not know this.
Yeah.
All right.
Because the code kind of in the 80s was like, I think we're good. I think we can do cool
I think
comics
we go back
again.
to where we were at.
I think we can have darker, more violent stories, that kind of thing. And so,
Well, I mean,
thank
think
goodness they did.
about like the writings of we just read Reanimator for PD's sake. Like,
Yeah.
that's okay. It's okay to read it, but I don't know. Anyway.
I think the pictures, it was just like seeing these pictures of like zombies and death and things. It was just like, it's corrupting our youth. And I mean, seeing this movie as a kid, like pieces of it, obviously it was seared into my mind, but it wasn't in such a way that I was going to do something violent. Like I didn't want to do any of the stuff that was in this movie. Like I'm not a floating trash bag in a lake.
Well, I also feel like it like reading without pictures could even do the opposite. I could argue that people's imaginations run wild, and it could actually like you could picture it being far worse than what any comic book or something
imagination
or panel could.
Like in the first movie, The Crate, like what you don't see is worse than what they do see. Like when you see like the creature bite someone's throat out. And like the scrapes on the face was way less horrific than what I imagined was happening to the janitor. Like what's happening when the
body's wiggling.
That was way more horrific for me than when we actually saw the damage.
I completely agree. So.
And part of that's the limits of the effects, but I mean, Creepshow 2, I mean, definitely a step down, but I have some nostalgia for it, you know.
I will agree.
And they're fun practical makeup effects, and the stories are reasonably well done. At least the first two. I mean,
yes, the Hitchhiker needs to hike itself away. Personally.
Yeah, I can take a hike.
I wasn't a fan, but I do have the chief wooden head and the raft seared into my mind. So I mean, they have to be good in some aspect in order for me to have like that strong of a recollection towards them, and then somehow just completely not remember the Hitchhiker. Like poof, gone. I don't even remember watching it, even though I've seen both of these countless times.
Now, if you want a good Hitchhiker, the original 80s, The Hitcher with Rutger Hauer, R.I.P. That movie is wild.
I haven't seen it.
Oh my gosh. It's supposed to be coming out in 4K this year. Super psyched, because that movie, I was blown away when I saw it. Like, you have no idea, Leah. You have no idea this movie. Like, I was just like, what? No. Oh, like, it was a ride. It was a ride. Well, those were our thoughts on Creepshow and Creepshow 2. So now here is Clucifer with your clue for the next movie we will be covering.
Clucifer here. Your clue for the next film is, it's alive! Again!
Thanks, Clucifer. For the Library Grindhouse, I'm Jesse.
And I'm Leah.
And we'll see you later in the week for our review of the published Creepshow graphic novel and Stephen King stories that inspired some of the segments.
Bye.